What's going on, everybody? It took me a minute to figure out when that logo was going to disappear, but hope everybody's doing well out there. It's a Sunday night. It's been a while since I've been on here. It feels like it's been forever. Went to Atlanta last weekend with our good buddy Will. Met up with our other good buddy Matt, and I got them both standing by here. We're going to talk a little bit about the Days of the Dead Atlanta convention in downtown Atlanta last weekend. Our overall thoughts and feelings about the convention itself, getting to meet Gaylen Ross, Scott Reiniger, getting to chat with them a little bit, and just the overall thoughts on the trip, and anything else that you guys want to talk about and bullshit about. It's been a busy couple of weeks, so pardon me if I'm not as sharp as I usually am, but I got some backup with me tonight to kind of help me get through it. First and foremost, joining me here, you guys all know him. He's a wily old veteran of the channel.
Veteran, hey.
There he is. Mr. Will Phelps. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. Just hanging out.
Breaking the law.
Breaking the law. Hell yeah.
Got a nice speeding ticket today, but
yeah. I think that was my first thing since like 2013-ish.
So you were due. You were due.
I was due. It was a it was a reality check for me. Like, Will, you gotta slow the fuck down. Like I
tried telling you that multiple times last week when on the way there and back. Although we did make great time coming back. Going up, not so much, but we'll get into that, I guess, here in a second. But good to have you on. Appreciate you joining me
for sure.
Help carry the load tonight, talk about this. And I also got backstage here, I guess we'll call it. Backstage here on the channel. Hooked up with us in Atlanta. The man's from the Atlanta area. Kind of showed us some pretty cool spots. And get his thoughts on the Days of the Dead Atlanta as well. Bring him in here. Matt Landrum, what's going on, man?
How's it going, dudes? You doing all right?
Dude.
Well, I wanted to ask you was it a state trooper or like a city
cop?
Yeah.
State trooper.
Those dudes do not fuck around, man.
No. But he was super cool. He was super cool. He was like, hey man, he's like, because I was going 20 over.
Oh well, yeah.
And he's like, I'm only gonna charge you 10 over. Just slow down, buddy. I was like, okay. I was like, it's my first time to Murray. I didn't know, blah blah blah.
I didn't know what the speed limit was.
I should have started crying like a girl and like make it out of it.
Show him a little cleavage. Hey man, help me out, you know.
I should have warned you because I know that little patch there in between Murray and Hoptown. Like I said, they watch that shit like a hawk. It's like what they call land between the lakes is basically because there's Lake Barkley and then it like splits and you go over two bridges and they're always watching that area pretty closely. But Matt, how's your weekend been, man?
It's going okay, man. Just been hanging out with the family. And kind of missing last weekend hanging out with you dudes. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I had a great time in Atlanta. Great time. It started off rough. Plans didn't work out. I want to start out and apologize to you again for Friday. Friday was
okay.
Friday was a fucking nightmare of a trip up there. So
God.
Yeah, basically we were stuck in traffic. Just the short story of what happened for us. So Friday, basically, our plan was to leave early, which we did. I thought we left on a pretty good time Friday morning. It was about 8:30ish, I would guess, right? I remember correctly. Around 8:30ish. I'm like, okay, we're gonna lose an hour, so I expect, we'll probably gonna hit Atlanta probably around 2, maybe 3 at the latest. Maybe we'll hit a little traffic through Nashville, but who knows? No, what time did we end up getting there?
6:30.
6:30. Finally get there at 6:30. We hit traffic in Nashville. We get through Nashville. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Well, we're a little behind, but that's not too bad. Then right outside of Chattanooga, I mean, we sat in standstill traffic for like an hour at least.
2
hour and a half.
I think.
Yeah. I don't fucking remember. I just remember we were like slowly creeping by, and there was the lady on the side of the road. You remember that? It was like something right up.
Yeah. It looked like she was from Blade or something like that, or
a lady
the knife.
Yeah, it was like she was broken down on the side of the road, and we're like, oh, maybe we should help her, And look out, and she's got like these combat boots on. She's got a fucking knife like holstered in the back of her belt. I mean,
Mm.
like under the hood, like getting at it. And we were just like, all right, I think she's got
She's
this.
got it.
Handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got it.
So, but yeah, I remember that, and I just remember sitting there for fucking ever. And then by the end of it, I was just trying not to piss my pants. We were hungry at this time, so we were getting kind of hangry at everything. But then luckily there was a police brigade leading some buses by down the fucking side of the road there. Will just fucking zoomed in behind some other cars that already started. So Will just kind of jumped in, and we just went, a good mile or so down the road before we noticed traffic was kind of moving again. So we quickly tucked back in there. So,
But then we made it to the exit.
helped.
We were trying to get to that exit. It was taking us like 2 hours to get like 5 miles.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just, you're like, we're right there. It's really close. We could just go around this. I'm like, you don't want to drive off on the side of the road, because that's where you're going to fucking pick up nails and God knows what else.
Now, is this when you're still outside of Tennessee, or is this when you were in Atlanta?
Oh, this is outside Chattanooga. The Atlanta traffic coming in like wasn't nothing compared to.
Really?
Well, that was
like it was still traffic, but at least it was moving. And as long as we were moving, we were fine, because we had sat still for so damn long.
I was bobbing and weaving. And weaving.
I've sat in traffic above Atlanta coming home this way, which would usually take me about an hour. It has taken me 3 hours before. I just gave you a thumbs up. What the fuck?
You did. Hey.
Oh, I forgot about that shit.
Oh, that's shit. Funny. We're doing that again. There we go.
It was unintentional. I didn't mean to do it.
Look at this production value.
Yeah, man.
Look at this production value here. But yeah, the traffic in Atlanta wasn't too bad. Well, once you're, but on the way back, like traffic was nothing, and we got back in like what 4.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah. After our trip to Buc-ee's.
That's crazy. Wow.
Not too bad. Yeah, I went to my first Buc-ee's. Yeah, that was.
Oh, what did you think of Buc-ee's, by the way?
No, it's a fucking.
I'm curious.
It's a giant gas station. I mean, it was a bunch of junk in it. Like
it's like Black Friday at Walmart in a gas station every day.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you've never seen like the people that were just like hoarding around the brisket station waiting for brisket sandwiches to be put out. It was just like, oh my God, they're putting out more. Yeah. I was like, what is going on here? But I got a barbecue sandwich. It was pretty good, so I can understand that. But
was it worth losing your mind over, though?
No. I mean, no. I mean, I got some chocolate covered espresso beans that have been pretty damn good. But yeah, other than that, it was just a giant gas station, kind of. It's a gas station and Walmart mixed up, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen the people with like the Buc-ee's fucking shirts and hoodies and caps, and they're like all about Buc-ee's, and I just don't why I don't get it.
I know people are like it's Disney World or something. I'm just like, it's cool. I mean, it's a nice little place to stop if you're on a trip, maybe, but.
And no offense to anybody that really likes Buc-ee's out there. That's just my opinion. I don't really understand.
Yeah, send all your hate mail to Matt. I'm saying it was cool. The espresso beans were fine,
Yeah.
Let's see. A couple of people in here already. This is Stukas Dive. What's going on, man? I have a test due at midnight. Popping in to say, hey, probably coming back after the test. What kind of test are you? Oh, I guess you're homeschooling, or what do they call that? School from home? Not homeschool, but people go to college and they do it from home. I don't know. What do you call
online
it?
Classes.
Online classes. There you go.
Yeah.
I told you guys I'm a little tired, so. But good to see you in here. Good luck on your test. You
got this.
Yeah, and in the words of the great Bobby Heenan, win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat. Synth, what's going on, man? Synth Addicts in the house.
What's up, dude?
Bonnie Bailey, how you doing, Bonnie? Good to see you. Fun times in Hot Atlanta. Yeah, I mean we had some good times. There were some.
It's kind of shitty and.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you my bullet points here in just a minute that I've got written down.
Okay.
They do involve shit.
Yeah, that's. I've been like I was telling my family yesterday at my daughter's birthday party. Like I was like, you've never seen so much shit in your life until you go to Atlanta. Like human
insane.
Shit. It's
human
crazy.
feces. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like another version of the hitchhiker from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But it'd be kind of weird picking up a hitchhiker in standstill traffic and you're just kind of sitting there waiting. You're just like, all right, we're gonna get there sooner or later.
That girl would have murdered me and Mike. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
She would have slit our throats.
She kind of looked like, you know, that movie Wolf Creek. Fucking guy from Wolf Creek. It was like a female version of that dude.
No, it was the you know, you ever seen The Matrix, like the last one? You know those twins, those they're like really pale skinned and
I
they
have
dreads.
I've actually
I know what you're talking about.
I've actually never seen The Matrix. Any
What?
Matrix?
Are you
movie.
serious? None of them.
None of them.
Wow,
I've
that's
never had.
incredible.
That's un-American.
I know,
It's like
but I'm just.
It's like a pop culture staple. Like that's something that everyone has seen, except for you.
Except for me, I don't know, when it came out, like I was at that point where I was just like, fuck CGI. I don't want to watch this. I was like, because that was like when CGI was first starting, and you had like Van Helsing and all these movies that were just pumped full of this bad CGI, and I was
Van
like,
Helsing was good.
but yeah, I was just like so anti CGI. I was like, this is the movie that started all this shit. I don't ever want to watch this. But literally everybody I've ever talked to is like, no, you should probably watch it. Like the other two, it's like you can watch if you want to, but the original Matrix, I mean, you know, it's like you said, it's kind of a staple to watch. But
it's one of those just classic action films that you got to see.
Yeah. I'll probably one day. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just
he's just blowing steam.
No, I'm really picky about movies I watch. I did start watching the new Salem's Lot. Have you guys seen that? I know.
Yeah,
I know Will has. What do you guys think?
I enjoyed it. What did you think, Will?
As our resident Salem's Lot expert.
It was very fast paced. There was no character development, but I already knew who the characters were, so I didn't really need to know anything. So, I mean, I thought it was decent for what it was. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
That's fair.
That's not bad.
I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, talking about fast paced. I mean, you're trying to jam a giant novel into an hour and a half movie where the original was split up into 2.
Yeah, it was 3 hours. I think 3 hours and 2 minutes long or something like that.
So
they did the miniseries, and then they did the Rob Lowe version, which shit.
Yeah, I never even saw that one. I refused to see that. That's
shit.
Yeah, I never saw it either.
Yeah.
And so, like, I've been waiting for this Salem's Lot for 3 years. I mean, been waiting on it. And like, supposedly there's a 3 hours director's cut that they're going to release if they do on Blu-ray. I don't know. We'll see, but hopefully.
I'd be interested in seeing that. I'm like modern horror movies. I'm not really a big fan of.
Not either.
I just can't get into them. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the writing or what, but like, I actually kind of halfway enjoyed this one. I wasn't like super into it.
Right.
But I mean, for the most part, I liked it. I liked it better than like Long Legs or some shit. But yeah, I mean, it was decent. I really liked the book a lot. Have you ever read the Stephen King book?
No, I don't have the patience to read. I'd be attention span of a 5-year-old.
I don't read.
No. So, but no, it's pretty. It's a great book, and I think they did a better job adapting it this time. But the only thing is, I think in the Salem's Lot book, Barlow, the main vampire dude, I don't think he doesn't look like Nosferatu. I think he's like just a normal, like, handsome looking guy, if I remember correctly. I don't want to misspeak, but all the adaptations I've seen, they've made him look like a fucking, which I guess that's what they got to do to try to get people to watch it, make him look scary. So, but
I'm not the biggest Salem's Lot fan. Like, I remember growing up watching it because that was always one of those movies that my parents were always like, oh, this is really scary. Like, this is really good. So I remember watching it as a kid and like, memories about basic idea of what it was. And I haven't seen it in a long time. I have it on Blu-ray, but I haven't actually sat down and watched it in a long time. But the newest one, I've heard from quite a few people that I respect their opinion, and I feel like they'd be pretty honest. Will, I mean, I'm pretty sure you'd be honest if it was bad. And when you said, it's actually not bad, I was like, okay. And then Uncle Bill the other night on Dead Pit, who I expect to just shit on most things because it's just he doesn't give a shit. He'll just tell you. But he was like, surprisingly enough, like I actually really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was really good. He was like, I don't understand why it didn't get a theatrical release. Of like all the movies that get theatrical releases now, like that could,
Yeah.
So I
It
was like,
was
okay,
definitely it was worthy of a theatrical release.
yeah. I mean, I started watching last night. I fell asleep. I didn't watch it all. I didn't get all the way through it, which is usually it was like 9 o'clock, and that's how I am now. If I start a movie after 8 p.m., like there's a pretty goddamn good chance I'm gonna fall asleep. So I'm old now. It's fine. Uh, it happens. But yeah, like as I was watching, I got probably about halfway through it, and I was liking it. I thought it was really well done. And the problem you mentioned it's like the problem with most Stephen King adaptations is that there's so much to cram into a feature film, like a feature length movie, which I think is always the problem that Stephen's always had with people adapting his movies to film, is that it doesn't capture everything in his book, which it's pretty impossible to do that. I mean, that's why most of his best stuff is when they do a mini series, like the original Stand. This movie was good at kind of compacting everything down and just kind of cutting a lot of the fat out and just kind of making it a basic, basic film. I thought the vibe to the movie was pretty good, and there were a lot of moments in it where like something would happen, and in my mind I would say, well, what was the point of that? Like, why did they do that? But then they would always come back with an answer. There was a reason why they did it. So I was like, okay, I see what they did here. I see what they did there. So yeah, I'm gonna have to finish it. I'm gonna have to go back and finish it, see how it ends. Maybe my mind will change on that. But from what I've seen, I thought it was pretty entertaining. I mean, nothing groundbreaking or anything, but a pretty solid, well done movie, well made.
Yeah, there's some kind of shocking parts in it, and the same with the original. But Stephen King loves to kill kids. You know what I mean? So that's like the main thing that he does. Like all of his books, Pet Cemetery, all that stuff. Like when he kills kids.
You know why he does that, right?
Why?
He's been asked this before. I've heard him in an interview, and he says that's my biggest fear is something happening to my child. So if that's my biggest fear, like that's what I'm gonna write about. That's what I'm gonna put in, like fucking Pet Cemetery. The little kid dies. I mean,
dude, and he does such a good job articulating that in his books too. Like, have you ever read the original Pet Cemetery?
No.
Yeah,
I'm like Will. I read like biographies and shit like that. Anything that I can get. Yeah, we don't do reading around here. I like learning shit, but I don't hate, but it's like it's very hard for me to read a work of fiction, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and the original Pet Cemetery, he does a really good job articulating grief, right? And that's one of the things that drew me to Stephen King the most, is he has this really great way of like sort of lingering on grief and explaining it. So like in the original Pet Cemetery, when his son Gage dies, he does this really good job of sort of exploring the father's grief all the way through and to the breaking point where he decides to take him and bury him in this cemetery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's always done a really good job doing that. But, even if you took that out, he just loves to fucking kill kids. Like there's a dead kid in every single one of his books. And,
Well, yeah. I mean,
that was the scariest part of the original Salem's Lot adaptation was, the fucking dead vampire kids knocking on the window. Yeah. And, and I feel like they did a pretty good job with that in this one too. Will, what do you think? Did you think they did a good job?
Yeah. I think they did. Yeah. The glowing crosses kind of took me for a minute, but I was like, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
One,
I mean,
that's the one thing that did. It looked like just like an LED, like a light up, like a light up cross. So that is the one thing I'll say.
It was decor. It was Halloween decor.
Yeah.
It's like somebody visited Spears Halloween.
I could see the battery pack on the bottom.
Right. But like in the OG one, like when Ben Mears had, like at the very beginning, they're getting the holy water and they're putting it in the thing and it starts glowing blue. They're like, oh, they found us.
Yeah.
It's sort of that thing. It's
and talking about Steam, I don't know if I've ever talked to either one of you guys about The Dark Half. Just bringing it back to Romero for a second. I don't think I've ever mentioned. I've barely talked about The Dark Half on here because it's just not one of those movies that I revisit a whole lot. But what are you guys' thoughts on The Dark Half?
It's almost one of those like peripheral Romero films that nobody talks about, like Monkey Shines. Nobody fucking talks about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I love it. I love the book. I love George's adaptation of it. I thought they did an excellent job with it. and then Timothy Hutton, right? He plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the. I thought he did a really good job. His little dual character role in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knocked it out with that one, and the makeup was awesome too.
Yeah, but the original, I think the original idea George had to cast that role, I think he wanted to use Willem Dafoe was one name that he almost got. Michael Rooker, I think, was originally he thought about putting in that role, but I think the one actor that I think would have been really cool to see in that role is Gary Oldman. Like he was,
Yeah, that would
he
have been
was so
awesome.
close to playing that role. But yeah, I thought Timothy Hutton does a pretty good job for the most part. Like I like his George Stark performance more so than his Thad Beaumont. His Thad Beaumont's little, I don't know, it is what it is, but
It's kind of his Thad Beaumont's kind of flat, but he did a really good job. He kind of chewed the scenery a little more when he played George Stark. I think I really enjoyed his performance in that. And didn't he
yeah.
have kind of a? Didn't he and George kind of go back and forth like
Oh
they
yeah.
kind of button heads? That's what I thought.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, and we'll touch on this here in a little bit because it's something I wanted to talk about from the convention, but and just some of our conversations that we've had. But George's way of directing actors sometimes meshes with certain actors better than others. Some
Right.
actors need direction, and some actors like can just you know take the ball and run with it. I guess for good or bad. And Timothy Hutton, I feel like, is one of those actors that just needed direction, and that was always what I think I remember hearing George talk about it, where he was talking about like he wanted to know what is my motivation. Like there's a specific scene in particular where Timothy Hutton's just driving a car down a road. It's just a shot of him driving a car down a road. Not even inside the car, just him in the car driving down the road. And before they were shooting, Timothy was like, "Okay, what's my motivation?" And George is like, "You're driving a fucking car." Like there's your motivation. Just and Timothy was like, no, but I need more than that. And that's when they started butting heads, and it's just like you're driving a car. Like it's just a wide shot. We can. So some actors mesh well with that style, and some don't. And I think Timothy, while he is a very good actor, I think he just didn't mesh well with George's directing style. I guess was their biggest issue. What do you think, Will? I don't think you've ever really said much about the Dark Half.
I'm not gonna lie, it's been so long I don't remember what it's about.
It's
I mean, I'm dead serious. Like it's been that long.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies that I'll revisit maybe once a year, and I always think like, oh, this is a really well made movie. Like it's a pretty good movie, but it's never one of those movies that I'm just like, I gotta watch this over and over again. I gotta know everything about it.
I think I saw it the one time and that was it. I just
it doesn't make anybody's top 10 Romero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not really up there for anybody.
It just doesn't.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love Romero, but that's just not.
Yeah, it's not one of the ones, right? Yeah,
not my cup of tea.
It's one of his least Romero feeling movies.
That's true
to me. Like there's not that Romero. Like you watch the stuff in the 70s. There's always the familiar faces that you're gonna see, the familiar names you're gonna notice in the credits. But like the Dark Half is really George doing a studio movie. Pretty much, just being the director.
That's what it feels like. You're right.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like a studio film. It doesn't feel like a George film.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's an enjoyable movie. It's a good movie, especially for the early '90s, and especially for all the shit. Because I think that was the last or one of the last movies that Orion distributed before they went bankrupt and went out of business. And so
it's one of the better Stephen King adaptations. I mean, there's like we've talked about, outside of some of the miniseries, there's only a handful of like really good Stephen King adaptations out there. And I think The Dark Half is one of the best. You take George out of it, still it's one of the better Stephen King adaptations that I've seen.
Yeah, I always have this issue with a lot of Stephen King adaptations. It's usually the movies that Stephen King ends up like disliking are the ones that I think work better because they fit better to the movie. Where a lot of the times I feel like a lot of Stephen King adaptations, and I've heard some people mention that maybe the new Salem's Lot had an issue with trying to fit everything into the feature, of course, all that. But I think that's always a big issue, was trying to fit everything that King wanted to be in that story into that runtime. So so a lot of Stephen King adaptations always feel like just just feel a little shorthanded or something. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm
Stephen King liked the new Salem's Lot, so, or at least.
Well, I love Stephen King. I'm sure he's a great guy and all, but I feel like he's kind of in the John Carpenter mode now, where he's just like, hey, give
he's
me a little
pumping shit out,
money.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, give me a little
Oh.
money and I'll put it over. Like, give me a
Oh,
little
yeah,
kickback on
absolutely.
this and I'll put it over.
Did I tell you about what happened Friday night at the Halloween?
No, I
viewing?
haven't heard anything. No.
John Carpenter introduced the film, like not in person, but like on video.
I was about to say, and I fucking missed that.
Like he so
She
yeah,
comes back to Bowling Green for one night.
right? Yeah, the night.
I'm just like, oh.
But yeah, it was totally cool. I'll send it to you when we get done.
That's pretty cool. How did the screening go? All things considered.
It was great. It was packed. It was a packed house.
Yeah, I hated that I missed that. They did at the, what is it called, the Capitol Theater or something like that in downtown Bowling Green. They did a double feature of Halloween and Halloween 2, and that's the theater that I guess John Carpenter, when he was a kid, used to go see all the movies and stuff.
That's cool.
So yeah, that was pretty damn cool. I hated that I missed that, but there's no way. I was getting off work and everything going on, and I was like, there's no friggin' way.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to change the mood, but like when you said that, just made me think of it. So
no, you're good, man. Since then, regarding Buc-ee's, you make a mascot and people go nuts and buy shit. That's true. That's true.
That's true.
A good mascot. I need a good mascot for shop.alpharomero.store. I need a good mascot. Anybody out there got any designs? Let me know.
Good marketing. They get away with it.
Let's see, Matrix 1's worth watching even now. Yeah, I mean that's what I hear from people. I mean, I'm sure, but I don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe if I got. There's just so much. There's so many other movies out there that I want to. That I'm still yet to see. That I want to see. That it's just like when the Matrix. It's like I'm gonna see. I'm dodging bullets. I don't know.
Yeah, but it actually looks pretty cool. I mean now. 2024, obviously it's going to look a little dated, but that shit was fucking groundbreaking at the time.
What didn't Tarantino at one point say that it was the best movie ever made or something like that?
I don't know if he said that. If he did, I don't remember reading it anywhere, but that's a lot.
I'm hearing him say he put it over big time. He said that the sequels kind of ruined it for him, but when he first saw The Matrix, I think he said something like it was the best theater experience he ever had or something like that. So that kind of caught my attention. I was like, yeah, maybe. Because I mean, I'm sure 1999, first time you're seeing shit like that, it is kind of just like, what? Like, it's like the first time you're seeing like T2 or something. It's just like, whoa.
Dude, you know what I remember? I remember right when, because I think that came out right before Columbine. I remember the huge like backlash because they had the trench coats on and shit.
Oh,
right
yeah.
when Columbine happened, yeah. I don't think they pulled it from the theaters, but I think that there was some kind of controversy about that. So.
Yeah, that would have been like 99. That would have been right around that time. Yeah.
Yeah. God, that was a crazy fucking time too. Not to go off the rails, but Jesus, I remember all that shit. Being in high school for all that.
99 was an interesting. That was an interesting time. It was like the very end of life pre 9/11, basically.
Yeah.
Like 9/11, like the world really did change, and of course it like met like the perfect time with like the growth of the internet and all this other shit. So like 99 was like the last, I don't know. It's like Woodstock 99. I've always been fascinated with Woodstock 99 and everything that went on there and that whole, debacle or whatnot. And it was just like, people were still so, especially compared to now, like if you go to a music festival now, it's not Woodstock 99 at all, but that was like the last breath of like us as, I don't know, apes. We're still just like the beginning of 2001. We're still just like,
yeah.
But yeah, 90. That was a weird time period.
Oh yeah.
See, since as I saw the original Salem's Lot the night it aired on TV, it was cool.
I think Synth has seen every movie in the theater.
I was already about to
I think
say
he's seen everything when it fucking premiered.
Exactly.
Every fucking miniseries. And I'm not making fun of it. That's awesome. It's fucking cool as shit. The dude is just like, he's just been there. You know what I mean?
He's like Forrest Gump. He's been at every like historic moment throughout history. But I mean, I believe it though, man. Like seeing Synth in action at Living Dead weekend this year, like just documenting every fucking thing that he experienced, like, dude, it's like he was like fucking everywhere all at once. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and he's like a book. He knows everything.
Yeah.
Like when I hear him talk, he knows everything about every movie. It's
Yeah.
just it's awesome. It's cool as shit.
He's
We had a 3-hour conversation outside of JCP, or not JCP and shit. The entrance to the mall in Monroeville. They're living there.
a loading
Like, we
dock.
sat there for 3 hours. Yeah, the loading docks. Yeah.
Yeah, while they were having the after party on Saturday night, like we were just out in the parking lot, just having our own little after party. And people just started walking up, like just coming in and out of the conversation. You know, we were like, all right, whatever. See, Bunny says Salem Lot scared me as a kid. The David Soul version is still the best, but the recent version was good. I enjoyed it. Okay, so there's another positive review for the new Salem's Lot movie.
Bonnie's
It's
got a
not
little bit of
bad.
taste.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the new Terrifier movie yet? Are you guys into the Terrifier movies at all?
I haven't seen one Terrifier. I was actually having this conversation with Stephanie tonight. I haven't seen one Terrifier movie. I think we're gonna start watching those.
I haven't seen it.
Haven't
Yeah.
seen them. I saw the second one because it was such a event or whatever last Halloween. And me and my buddy Rory went, and we both left the theater kind of the same way. I was like, "What's the big deal?" Like, it's just, I was like, I kind of felt the way that probably people my age felt in 1980 the first time they saw Friday the 13th, or the the beginning of those slasher movies was just like it just goes too far for no real reason. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but then again, I'm just like, well, maybe I'm just old fashioned or something. Like maybe but I mean, the performance by the guy David Thornton, something or another, I can't remember his name, but the performance of Art the Clown, the guy that plays him, is pretty fucking brilliant. Like, he's mesmerizing to watch on screen. I think that's the big part. Like, the gore and the guts and everything, and seeing how far he's going to go. That'll drive people to the theater to check it out, but they're not going to keep going back because they've already planned a part 4 already. They're going to do another one.
If it keeps making money, they're going to keep going. That's just the way it goes.
I'm kind of curious to see. It was the Battle of the Clowns this weekend, wasn't it? It was Terrifier 3 versus Joker 2. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I've heard that that's like one of the worst movies ever made. Like,
Yeah,
literally
that's
from like reviews saying like this is one of the biggest like misses ever. So I'm kind of curious to see who's going to come out on top. Terrifier 3 or I wonder if that's out yet. Let me see what the box office is.
Yeah, I think Terrifier 3 surpassed Joker, or there's some maybe it's reviewed better. I can't remember.
That would be fucking hilarious too.
Yeah.
Who's playing the Joker? Is it Joaquin?
It's
Okay.
It's a sequel. It's the one with Lady Gaga, and apparently it's a musical.
Yeah, they turned it into a fucking musical. Which
what?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I've heard people are like walking out of the theaters and all kinds of shit. Oh, let me check your box office. Yeah, it looks like Terrifier 3 unseats Joker, Folie à Deux, whatever the hell it says, for top spot.
Yep.
That's pretty funny. But yeah, they're gonna keep making them because they keep making money. And but like I was saying, I think the performance of the character Art the Clown, I think his performance is what kind of keeps it interesting because it's so well made. But yeah, I haven't seen the third one yet. I don't know when or if I will. Like I said, one of the biggest, because the movies itself don't really make a fucking lick of sense plot wise, but who needs that, right?
No,
who needs plot? Come on.
Right.
Since they know reading, writing, and arithmetic here, yeah, the R's are for Romero. The hell yeah. Although I have been reading again, second read through the Making a Day of the Dead from Lee Carr, just because there's so much shit in there that's just fascinating to know. Have you guys read that book at all?
Oh yeah, I've got it. Yep.
Nope.
Yeah, just there's so much like
Is
information about. You want me to record one for you? I could do it live here on the show. We'll just do a live reading of. But yeah, like the relationship that George had with Gornick at that time, how it was pretty strained, and that was kind of the last of their working relationship, and just what's his name, David Ball or whatever, the producer that Salah Hassan sent. I think it was on the Creep Show set, and he followed him to Day of the Dead, if I remember correctly. to just kind of make sure everything was rolling. So it was just kind of like an extra guy to keep an eye on things. And he wasn't the biggest fan of Romero, apparently. Just
Well,
because,
fuck him.
Well, apparently David Ball was kind of more of a like by the numbers, like studio type. Like, okay, we got to get this done, these shots done. We got to stay under budget. We got to, and all this. And George is just more. He's used to just kind of shooting from the hip and kind of saying, "Oh, I want to get. Oh, that looks cool. Let's get a shot of that." Whereas you could do that on Dawn of the Dead or something like that. But by Day of the Dead, they're working with more money and there's more pressure from the financial backers to kind of come in on time, come in on budget. And that's why I never, I
mean,
don't think George would have ever been a good studio director because it's just not his style.
You would think that, after the success of Night and Dawn, looks like any backer would back him to do whatever he wanted to do, and no matter the cost.
Well, when money's involved, there's no. The more money that's involved, the more people are going to say,
feasible.
I'm going to have to step in and make sure my investments, very rarely. I can't think of too many directors off the top of my head that have that kind of freedom. Like maybe a Stanley Kubrick or maybe James Cameron or Christopher Nolan or somebody like that. But
well, I'm sure that even then there's still some resistance or pushback. You know what I mean?
I'm sure there is, but I think after the first time that you do a movie your way and it ends up becoming one of the biggest movies of all time, there's probably more, if there is pushback, the director has more gusto or whatever to say, okay, well, I'll listen to you, or I can do what I want to do because I don't know if you noticed, but I just, made a movie that made you $1 billion fucking dollars.
Yeah. And look at the numbers.
Right. Yeah. So very rarely does that happen. Even the greats,
that Day of the Dead book is really good. Lee Carr, he's a good guy. Like we talked about before, he's kind of disappeared. I don't know what happened to him, but he did the Creep Show 2 book too. I haven't picked that one up yet.
I haven't either. I've been wanting to read that one too.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a good read. I took it with me down to Sanibel when I went down there last time, and Fort Myers the previous time.
Yeah, very cool. I've gotten it signed by a shitload of people. My copy, which I wish I would have bought 2 copies, but the one that I got is like a first pressing, like first run, copy. So I got that one for a pretty good price. I wanted to get it signed, but then I wanted to read it, so I'm just like reading it. So I don't know. I probably should get another copy, but yeah, Lee Carr also did that the commentary for Zombie with Gornick and Dubinsky. I think I put it on my channel a while back. If anybody wants to listen to it, but Brett, what's up, man? Hi, hope you had a great time at the convention. Hoping there was some Romero-related people or props to see there. Just a couple of people. We also did me and Will did Sunday morning get to go visit the gravesite of Duane Jones too. That was a pretty damn cool cemetery. I really wish we could have gotten to that mausoleum you were telling us about.
Yeah,
dude, I'm telling you, it's so beautiful inside of there. If you ever come back to Atlanta, I would definitely recommend before 2 p.m. going and checking out that mausoleum. It's fucking beautiful.
Well, it's closed on Sundays.
It's closed on Sundays, but Monday through Saturday it's open until 2. I think it's like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or something like that.
Wow,
so.
Just a short period of time. But I mean, it was cool as shit from the outside too. So
yeah. Well, and you can probably understand why they close it. I mean, you saw the area before you got in there, right?
Yeah. And it was funny. They had one gate open, and there was like security sitting there watching it.
Yeah,
like I said, like a car. I mean, yeah, I could believe it.
Yeah, MLK right there. It's fucking rough, dude. It's rough. So, and like I told you before, I've been in there before where like I've been downstairs in the bottom where it's not really well lit, and I found like sleeping bags and shit. And
oh wow,
yeah, it can be scary.
After being in Atlanta, I can believe that. There's a lot of sleeping bags. Yeah,
a lot of poop.
God,
it's so sad. Like
it is.
As you laugh, It is very sad.
It's sad. I'm so fucking used to seeing it, dude. I just step over it. Just don't step in it. That's that's the only
I know
thing.
it's funny. We were walking in that garage, and I could tell you guys were used to it. Me and Will are just like, "Oh my god, like what are we doing?" And your son just looked back and was like, "Welcome to Atlanta." I was like, "Yeah, okay, I got it."
That's right.
It's like
He
these
knows.
guys, they're used to it. They're used to it.
Yeah.
So it's fine. It's fine. We'll be all right.
Yeah.
Rick, the North going lava. What's up, man? Good to see you. Hello. Man himself saying hi to Seth and Brett and Stukas. Everybody saying hi to everybody
Whatever
else.
happened to the Doom guy? I haven't seen that guy in a long time. The
I don't know.
fucking Holy Doom, whatever. That was the coolest name I've ever seen.
I don't know if you're out there, Holy Doom. Yeah, I can't remember what his name is either.
Yeah.
But if you're out there, what's up? Give you a shout out if you're watching. Let's see. Rick said, I want to create my own weblog site devoted to horror, sci-fi, fantasy genre and call it Skullhead Vinegar. Do it.
Cool.
Do it. Hell yeah. I'm doing this. So if I can do this, you can do whatever you want. You'll figure it out. I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I first started. Go back and look at my first stream. Go look at my first videos. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I was just staring at a computer and rambling for periods of time and turning the computer, and just calling it a day.
Do you guys remember? I'm sure. I know you guys have been around for a long time. Do you remember the Zombie Farm, Norman, England?
Yeah.
Dude, that was like the best fucking site that I'd ever been to when I was a kid. And I remember emailing him because I wanted to make a Dawn of the Dead website when I was a kid, and I think I was going to call it the Dead Mall or something like that. But I'm sure many other people probably made the same thing. But
you're ahead of your time because Dead Malls are pretty popular now.
Yeah. But I remember emailing him about it, and I was like, "Do you have any advice or anything?" He was like, "Yeah, just don't copy me." I was like, "Okay," but I want to make it a Phantasm website anyway. So,
what is it still active?
Yeah, well, I think you can find it on is it the Wayback Machine? Is what they call it?
The Wayback Machine.
It was the Red Planet, and I ran it for several years. I think I wound up. The last update I did on it was like 2000 or 2001 or something like that. But I think I started it in like 98. But I actually had Reggie Bannister come on and do like a chat with a bunch of fans and stuff. That was really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. So.
Reggie, I've never met Reggie Bannister, but I've heard from pretty much everybody that's ever met him that he's like the coolest guy. Like he's as cool as he is in the movie. Like that's pretty much the same guy,
Yeah.
I think he's at Scarefest this weekend, or was it this weekend?
It's next weekend.
Yeah,
it's next weekend. Yeah.
I think everybody's at Scarefest.
Literally, it's a big lineup.
It's huge.
Clyde Barker, I think it's going to be like his last appearance or something like that.
Yeah. I did see where Joe Dante just canceled though, so he won't be there. But yeah, other than that, I've seen so many graphics for so many different fucking people for Scarefest. That's one of those so Days of the Dead Atlanta was pretty calm, pretty, not packed, super packed. There were a lot of people that canceled, and I was fine as long as Scott and Gaylen were there. That's really all I really gave a shit about.
Yeah.
But there's two extremes. There's going to a convention that's just real laid back, and you can kind of get through everything you want to do in about an hour and be fine. And then there's those conventions like Scarefest or Horror Hound where it's just so many goddamn people and so much going on that it's overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about those type of conventions. I think the Living Dead weekend's in that perfect middle where it's I guess we can talk about the convention a little bit too. It's the Days of the Dead Atlanta, you can tell that it's under a bigger umbrella. The Days of the Dead, they do shit everywhere, whereas something like Living Dead weekend, it feels more personalized. The people that are running it are super fucking passionate about it, and they're doing everything they can think of to make sure that everybody's having a good time, making sure there's something going on at all times, panels and screenings and after parties and all this other shit. So that was the big takeaway that I took from going to something like Days of the Dead Atlanta is that you can definitely feel it's a little more detached from the people that run it. It's more okay, here's a show we're doing now. We're coming back in February. We're going to come back again next year. And it's just kind of this ongoing thing.
Right.
Whereas Living Dead weekend, it really is just a giant family get together or something. It's everybody gets back together and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
at all times. It's hard to do everything. Larry's doing tours and photo ops with, props and all kinds of, get the museum going on. You can go walk through the museum. Just completely different vibe.
And you can feel that too. Like when you're at Days of the Dead Atlanta, you can definitely feel that the vibe is different. You know what I mean? It feels kind of like what you said. It's just sort of like, okay, you're here, do your thing, go. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel as I don't want to say cohesive. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like Living Dead Weekend is a totally different level. And even like Mad Monster and all those other ones, I don't know what it is about Days of the Dead. It just doesn't feel as connected, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
It feels corporate.
Feels corporate.
It feels very, just by the numbers process. Like, okay, we got all these people here. Vendor room, here's this. Photo ops over here.
Yeah.
Have at it.
Yeah. And this one was definitely smaller than the other ones. Like, there really weren't a lot of guests, and people noticed, and people were talking about it. And, even the vendors were like, hey, can we get some cash back? Because there's not a lot of people here, And I think Days of the Dead was kind of like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, we took your money and we're not giving any of it back. So,
the price of admission alone, like, of course, I think it was like 30 if you bought it before, but like 50 at the door or something like that.
50,
like if I would have shown up and paid 50 at the door to go to that, I'd be pretty pissed, because the vendor room was pretty small. Like there were no, like I was surprised there weren't like a Vinegar Syndrome or a Severin or an Orbit DVD or any of those there. It was just
even like Paul Bearer Press. Do you guys ever order from them? They're like a big horror clothing company. They do flags, tapestries, clothing.
I've heard of them. Yeah,
they're usually there. They're at all the like Atlanta oddities expos and shit like that. They're usually at Days of the Dead. They weren't there. It just seemed like homemade jewelry and Jason masks, and that was it. You know what I mean? Yep. I don't know. I guess
pretty much. And people trying, you got your independent filmmakers there trying to, sell their movies and stuff. But outside of that, I mean, there was just not a whole lot there. I mean, there was some records and some T-shirts and stuff outside of the vendor hall, but outside of that, I mean, it was pretty small. And like I said, you could pretty much go around there and see everything there was to see in about an hour.
Yeah. Not even that, like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I was like, because I like to buy physical media and stuff that you'd have to order usually. If I could just get it in person, like the old-fashioned way, I usually tend to. But there wasn't a whole lot there. I ended up just getting the only thing I really bought outside of Scott and Gaylen's signatures. The thing I bought was a Chucky lunchbox and that Chucky action figure for my daughter, and that's about it. If it wasn't her, if she didn't give a shit about Chucky or any of this, like I'd have been around. I'd been in and out in about 10-15 minutes probably.
Yeah. And even the guest room, like I remember when we met up and first went in the guest room, we just kind of did a circle and we're like, that's it. Like there's nobody else here. Like that's it.
So, yeah, who all was missing? Because I know that there were quite a few people. I think that Bill Duke, we didn't see him Saturday, but I heard somebody say that he was Sunday only, maybe.
He showed up. I think he showed up later on Saturday. I know he was there all day Sunday. I know Chris Kattan canceled, but who fucking cares? Who else? Somebody else bailed.
My twin.
Yeah.
Tom
Skerritt.
Yeah, Tom Skerritt canceled. Yeah. It's funny. I was gonna make a joke because I went back and watched y'all's live stream, your Living Dead weekend recap when you were talking about Tom Skerritt, and I was gonna say you should fucking sit in for him and make a table.
You should have.
You could have made some money.
They have at Spirit Halloween. They have the little Top Gun jackets. You could you just throw one of those on, just go sit behind his desk, and just be like, "Hey, here I am." But yeah, they canceled. There were quite a few people that were advertised that I didn't remember seeing. I don't know if they were just specific days only or what it was. Typically, everybody was pretty much there on Saturday. Typically,
I'll be honest. I kind of glazed over half of them, and then like later on, I was like, oh well, there's so and so, or there's Jenna Jameson. I didn't see her when I first came in. I don't fucking care, but there she is.
I didn't remember seeing her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, Kane Hodder was right there, right when you first walked in, which, I'm guessing he did pretty good.
Yeah, he had to have. and I kind of got a bone to pick about that shit. I don't know. Were y'all like surprised with his autograph pricing? That was pretty ridiculous.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, am I surprised? No, I wouldn't say that's the word compared to what some people. I mean, have you seen like Ozzy's doing conventions now? And
Yeah,
you see
but
what the
Kane
price
Hodder
is?
is not Ozzy Osbourne. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Like,
I mean, it's Kane Hodder, and people are going to pay
Yeah.
it. You know, people are
I
still going to pay
guess.
it.
Yeah.
And
I don't know, dude.
Michael J. Fox was 300.
Yeah, that's pretty. Oof.
You know what? Did you see what Ozzy's prices are for his appearance? I can't remember where it's at, but it's to meet Ozzy, you have to buy I forget what it's called, but it's like a package deal. It's you meet Ozzy and you get a signed 8x10 of him and his family, and then another sign, something or another, $7.99.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Damn.
Now, if you want like a pick guard signed on it, or I forget what the other shit, but if you want any of your shit signed, like if you want a record signed, if you want an Ozzy record signed, I think it's like another $200 or something like that.
Oh my god, that's insane.
And then I think it goes up from there to the point where I think it tops out at like $1,400 for like the whole package or something like that. I'm just like, who has the file? Like, I love Ozzy. Like, he's a legend. Well, who doesn't love Ozzy? Whether you like his music or you like him from the TV show, like, whatever. Ozzy's an American icon or an English icon.
Oh, I mean, he's a metal icon. I mean, Black Sabbath is they're iconic. So I can only imagine. But I just don't have that kind of money. I mean, fuck, I didn't have $100 to give Kane Hodder for an autograph and a selfie. You know what I mean?
Really.
Like, dude, I think when I first met him, it was half that, if that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of my point.
Yeah.
Is in the last couple of years, it just seems like, and my wife Stephanie brought up a good point that maybe because it was such a smaller event, such a smaller venue, maybe that's why he hiked his prices up.
I think that's probably. I just feel like that's probably standard for him at this point. Like, even if it was somewhere else, because I think typically, like somebody like him or Robert Englund. I know Robert Englund's up in the 3 digits now. He's like $150, $200 for an autograph now or something like that.
Yeah.
But I just think those big names like that people are gonna pay to see. I mean, it's Kane Hodder. It's Robert Englund. It's whoever. Like, people will pay it, so that's what they charge.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just like, my son's friend paid him $40 just to take a selfie with him, and then like my kid ran into him in the lobby, and my wife took his picture for free with my son. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It just didn't make a lot of sense, but whatever.
You just got to run into him outside of business hours.
Yeah.
Let's check comments here real quick. Rick saying likes the original Terrifier. I haven't seen the first Terrifier actually, which I think he was in something called All Hallows Eve or something like that prior to the original Terrifier. So he's been in movies for a while. Yeah,
that was pre-Terrifier, was All Hallows Eve, I think. I think that was like 2013 or something like that.
Yeah, I never saw that one either.
Yeah.
See, Bonnie hasn't seen it yet. Looking forward to seeing it. Who is Jenna Kardashian? Make Great Wednesday Addams. I don't know who that is. You guys know who Jenna Kardashian is? Is that one of the Kardashian sisters?
I'm wondering if he means one of the Kardashians, but I don't know a Jenna Kardashian.
I don't either.
There's Kylie.
Bruce.
I don't think it's Bruce anymore, dude.
Yeah, okay.
Caitlin.
Terrifier series is over the top, very formulaic. Even the effects weren't great, but some folks love it. Horses for courses. Yeah, I mean, that it is very over the top. The effects are definitely like I have the same, like, I love practical effects, but I think a lot of practical effects now just I don't know, maybe it's just because they've done such a good job at like Spirit Halloween and stuff of like recreating all this stuff. It's basically the same shit to me. It just looks like Halloween decorations at this point.
Right.
Yeah, Bonnie's saying definitely over the top. John Vulo, what's up, man? Hey guys, saying hi. Good to see you. The man who is currently unearthing the undead right now on the Night of the Living Dead Facebook page. doing the
Give
Lord.
us that 16 millimeter film.
I was going to ask you guys about that. How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I mean, somebody
Yeah.
like me, like I know John's kind of. I've talked to him a little bit about it on Facebook, and he's just like, you can't really see too many people. Like, you're not gonna see, George or anybody. It's mostly the ghouls just hanging out. I'm just like, okay,
care.
cool. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
I don't care.
I want to
In
see that
color,
shit. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And that's during that nightcast. I brought that up, and Jim Cirinella put that up there about like who knows what else is out there. You know what I mean? Like who else has these kind of home videos?
Yeah, which
that
is
nobody knows about.
Yeah, which is part of the what makes what John's doing right now great. Is like you're finding all these people, and you never know what they remember or what they still have, or you just don't know, and that's that's the cool part of it.
Hey, John, so let me just say this, John, really quick. I don't know if he uses this or not, but use truepeoplesearch.com. You can find lots of stuff on people. If you know names and everything, truepeoplesearch.com.
And you work for the government, so you would know. You can find people. You can find people. That's my job. I find people. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I don't know what they plan on doing with it. I don't think there's any plans right now for what they're going to do. There's talk of like maybe another physical release of Night of the Living Dead at some point. I really wish, and I was telling John this, I really enjoyed the Criterion version, but I think that they would make bank if they would hook up with somebody like Second Sight or somebody like that to do like a big box full-blown version of Night of the Living Dead, because a lot of physical media collectors, I feel like a lot of the physical media collectors that I know like Criterion, but they don't really go crazy for it like they do a Second Sight or Vinegar Syndrome or something like that. So I feel like that would be a way to go, but from what I understand, like they're pretty happy with Criterion right now, and that's probably who they want to stick with if they do anything with it.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure it'll wind up on a release somewhere. So
I hope so.
Special features or something. I can't wait. I would love to see it.
Here you go. There's a good one. What's up, Larry? When there's no more room in hell, the dead will talk.
Yeah. Oh, like we were going down that escalator. Going to hell.
That's I'm going to steal that, Larry, but thank you very much for that. Yeah, we went the little subway system in Atlanta. Went down that fucking escalator down to it, and it's the biggest fucking escalator you ever see in your life, and it gets hotter as you go down. Like, it gets hotter and hotter, and I'm just like, at one point I was just like, man, I wonder if this is what hell is like. You're just like on an escalator waiting, and it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. Fucking Will about passed out. He about fell down the fucking stairs. Because he was looking at his phone going down, and as we're going down, he's looking at his phone. As soon as he puts his phone down, looks up, he's fucking disoriented, and I'm just like, this motherfucker's about to fall down. This escalator.
I literally had a meltdown.
You did. You needed a fucking second.
Yeah.
Let's see, John saying Lee Carr has a bunch of personality conflicts with people, even if they may not have them with him. I met him for a second because he did a Creepshow 2 panel at October Living Dead Weekend 2023.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about this on our stream a couple weeks ago. He's very opinionated about some things, and I know he had some issues with some people. That's none of my business, but he's been very vocal about his own opinions online. And then, the whole thing with Living Dead Weekend, he didn't even want to be there because of the face mask thing. He was bitching about that the whole fucking time. So, but again, like, I'm not trying to talk bad about the guy, but he is very. John's right. He's got some conflicts with some people.
Yeah, he's. I don't know if I don't know. Are you guys friends with him on Facebook?
Yeah, he's deleted his Facebook.
Okay,
yeah, he's
good. I remember seeing him on Facebook, and I remember seeing it was mostly political stuff that he would post, and I can't one way or the other. I don't care, right or left. Like, people that are just constantly posting political shit on Facebook, it's just that's what drives me off. I'm just like, I don't even want to pay attention to this shit. Like, I'll pay attention to, like, Living Dead Weekend, Dawn of the Dead pages, anything pops up there, but I don't give a shit to scroll through and see what people are talking about most of the time.
I'm the same way, especially it's gotten so much worse. And the closer we get to November, it's constant. But people like Lee, it was constant even before that. I mean, it was like every fucking day. And there are some other people that post a lot about the left that I'm kind of like, okay, that's either way, just shut the fuck up. Like you know what I mean? Like
we get it.
So,
you're not changing anybody's opinion. You're not changing anybody's mind.
And that's really what it boils down to.
Just post a fucking casserole recipe like God intended fucking Facebook to be used for.
Yeah.
Right.
See, since it sounds like Atlanta is scary enough without the Walking Dead zombies. I wouldn't say scary, but I mean,
you get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it felt like most any other city, really. But but there were some shitty aspects of it for sure.
Yeah.
We walked.
Literally.
Well, we the first time we got there, we walked and we got to a point where it was getting kind of dark, and I was like a dark part of the city. I was like, I don't want to go down that way.
No.
I was like, can we turn around?
Yeah,
and you gotta be careful. Like
Right.
Atlanta's funny. Atlanta's like a lot of places where, like I was telling y'all, it's got pockets, right, where it's really nice in some areas, and then seriously, you cross the street and it's a completely different fucking world.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe. I forget where we were going, but I think it was that night we were just kind of walking around, just seeing what it was, and it's like at one point it was like fine, and then we just went a little too far, and you were just like, all right, I feel like we should turn around now. Like, okay, let's go back.
I don't feel comfortable.
Oh, it was when that woman walked by us, or was it a guy walking towards us, like just mumbling or something threw us off, and it was just like, all right, maybe we should go back, because then there were like people, there was like less people around, it was getting a little darker. A little less activity, and I was just like, all right, I think we've gone far enough. Rick saying, been into creative writing since you were a kid. Me too, man. Me too. I was a terrible student growing up. I was not once I hit puberty. Before puberty, I was a great student, but puberty hit, and I was fuck it, I'm out. Like I got other things to worry about right now. But I was always into writing, creative writing and stuff. That was always my one strong suit. Like I would write, like my ex-girlfriends and stuff. I was mentioning this. Was like I would write their essays and shit for them just so they would pass classes and shit back in the. I was that nerd. I was that guy. But outside of that, I wouldn't worth a shit. Some old short stories I want to publish through the magic of the web. Definitely do it, man, for sure. It's pretty crazy what you can do and the reach you can have on online these days. Here you go, archive.com, the Wayback Machine. Love that site. Okay, archive.com.
I didn't know that was a thing. So what do you do?
I think you just search for whatever. Like see, I was gonna say see if you can go on and find my old webpage. That would be awesome. It's the Red Planet. It's a Phantasm fan page. If you can find it, let me know. That'd be
it's like
cool
a
as
search
shit.
engine, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was back when everybody was making all those GeoCities websites, all those GeoCities fan sites and shit back in the day. So
I used to do the free webs back in the day for like my bands and shit back in the day. Like we just used freewebs.com. And of course they had the one, it was like the stars and shit. It looked professional, and I was like, oh, we're gonna use that one. Did I get an Alexis Dubin autograph? No, I didn't. No, I guess I didn't.
Who?
That was Galen's alias for Madman.
Madman, yeah.
Alexis Dubin. Should have asked her about that. Because I don't know if I've ever gotten a straight answer from them. I've heard some people say, oh, it's just due to SAG or something like that. Or it's because she was embarrassed of the movie and didn't want her name on it.
That's what I always thought. I've always thought it was because she was embarrassed. She didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. But I've also heard that it was just for SAG reasons or something like that too. Yeah. So I should have asked her that. You run through. Yeah, no, Tom Skerritt. Skerritt canceled. I don't know, about a week beforehand, something like that.
I was really hoping to see him.
Now I wonder how many, like him and Chris Kattan and those guys that canceled. Don Jameson. Did you guys see him at all? If anybody knows, he's a comedian. Didn't see him there. I wonder if they get these guys and depending on the pre-sale, like how many people are buying tickets to go to the show, will, if not enough people pay to go, do they just say, okay, we'll have to cancel this, or we didn't meet the threshold and we can't make it? Yeah, who knows?
Well, I know there was a lot of concern about the weather. People didn't know where, was it Helene? Which way Helene was going to go? Like it was supposed to come. It was supposed to tear up Atlanta. It was supposed to come right through us, and it did. I mean, a little bit, kind of nicked Atlanta, and there was some power outages for a while. But I think they anticipated it being a little bigger than it was. But also that factory fire above Atlanta, they were worried about the big, huge chlorine plume that was supposed to be floating around the air. And
yeah,
there was a lot of concern about that nobody really fucking needed to worry about. So there's enough pollution in Atlanta. What's a little extra chlorine in the air to hurt your lungs,
And wasn't somebody mentioning that on the Facebook, one of the Facebook pages, and Gaylen commented and was like, is it safe to come or something like that?
Yeah, Gaylen was like, oh, are there still power outages and flooding? And this guy was like, yeah, I've been reading, here's this article. And I went and looked, and it was an article from like 4 or 5 days ago. And I was like, everything's fucking fine. Relax. We'll see you in Atlanta in a few days. Like, chill the fuck out.
Don't cancel.
Yeah, do not cancel. Because that's what that's what I was worried he was kind of nudging her to do, because he said he wasn't going to be able to make it. I'm not coming. So it's like, well, don't fucking ruin it for everybody else, dude. Like, shut up.
Right.
Yeah, don't be that guy. But yeah, I wonder how much of that had to do with kind of the overall turnout of the show. Because I felt, just the overall vibe of the show, like it felt, I don't know, it just didn't feel not what I was expecting for sure. Like, because I was kind of expecting a bigger show. I was kind of like, it was going to be kind of crowded, and it was just not at all. Like, it was very. And I wonder how much of that had to do with kind of the weather and people's worries about the aftermath of the hurricanes, or if it was just, or it could have just been the lack of guest star power. Their biggest name on that, the whole thing was probably what, Kane Hodder, Tom Skerritt, maybe, but outside of that, like. There wasn't that big name to draw people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were pushing like the Revenge of the Nerds. There was the big Revenge of the Nerds reunion.
But I mean, how big? I know there are people that are big fans of that movie, but how big of a following does that movie have to get people like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like that movie would, especially a horror audience, like
a horror convention. And that was sort of I kind of raised an eyebrow about that too, because it seemed like to me that was sort of like the headline draw for this show was Revenge of the Nerds. And I'm like, you're talking about a bunch of like horror dudes. Like, who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't see a lot of people at their table, but maybe they did have people. I don't know. I didn't see it. So. But I really feel like, because, Days of the Dead, they do 2 a year. And I feel like if they just consolidated it into one, like that would probably be better. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I guess they split it up for money, or I don't know if it's scheduling or what, but
yeah,
they
I guess the Alien reunion too, right? I guess that's
yeah.
Like I said, I didn't get much, but I got this poster.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see it. This Days of the Dead poster. It's alien themed, but there was like one person from the movie there.
Yeah, like one. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I don't know. It just didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I was fine. I was going just for Scott and Gaylen mostly, and then to visit Duane Jones' grave and hang out with you and just see Atlanta, So I was fine with it. I was cool with it, but I was very surprised at how, no pun intended, how dead that convention kind of was,
Yeah, it was rough, man. Well, but what's crazy is next month, Mad Monster, it's fucking packed, dude. Like, there's so many people Ken's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Combs. There's like a ton of people that are gonna be there. So
where does that one take place at?
I can't remember exactly where it is. I don't want to say it's the Crown. I can't remember exactly which hotel it's going to be at. But it's definitely got a bigger list of guests. So, and I missed Ogre at Days of the Dead, but he's going to be there. So,
well, there you go.
Hey, yeah, exactly.
That's what the hell
fucking works out. So,
but yeah. What was Rick saying? Rick says, I went to a horror fantasy sci-fi convention many years ago in Sacramento, California, and I met the actress Priscilla Barnes a year or so after she made the movie Devil's Rejects. Love the Devil's Rejects. What are your thoughts on Devil's Rejects?
Perfect.
Out of all of them, I think that's my favorite. They're all super white trashy, but I guess that's my favorite one. You know, so
I was thinking of a movie because it's one of those movies that I kind of like to watch around this time of year. It's a Rob Zombie movie, but it's not Halloween or Halloween 2 or 31 or any of the other Rob Zombie Halloween movies. It's Lords of Salem.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say it.
That movie's awful.
See, like it borders on awful, but at the same time when I watch it, like it leaves, and when it's over, I'm like, God, that was fucked up. I kind of want to watch that again because I don't know how to take it. Like, I love the way they use the Velvet Underground music in it. Like, that was perfect to me. Like, some of the imagery, the casting. That's one of my favorite aspects of any Rob Zombie movie is the casting. I just love that he uses all the old actors and actresses that are in movies that I love. You know, but yeah. So you don't like Lords of Salem, then, Will? No,
not at all. Nope.
What do you think, Matt?
I've never seen it. I've actually never seen that one. Never seen it. But for some reason, I knew that's the one you were going to say.
It's just something about it this time of year. I mean, it's just a good, I don't know, because it takes place in Salem. You know, it's about witches, and there's just all this, you know, satanic imagery and shit throughout the whole movie, and it's just like this. Really, it's unlike anything else that he's ever done. I would say. It feels more honestly. The first time I watched it, I don't know if I still feel this way or not. Thinking back on it, but when I first watched it, I saw it in the theater, and I left the theater, and I thought I felt like it had a very Fulci-esque feel to it.
Okay,
like just kind of the atmosphere of the movie. But
I've never heard anyone refer to it that way, so that's definitely piqued my interest.
Yeah, I mean that was just my initial thought when I first saw it. Coming out of the theater, I felt like I just watched a really, you know, just the atmosphere of it. The score from John 5 is very Italian kind of in certain spots. But I love the Double. That's probably like I've said, it's probably my favorite movie of the last 20 years or whatever. Like I fucking love that movie. That was still to this day the best theater experience I ever had in my life. Because I mean it was just a party. And then that movie ends on fucking Freebird, and it ends like the perfect fucking ending. I'm like, okay, that's a fucking movie. Ken Foray's in it. It's got Michael Berryman. It's got all these people that I love. And here I was in 2005, you know, it's 18, whatever the hell I was, 16, 17, 18, something like that. And just watching this movie that I never thought I would see on a big screen in 2005. You know, it was just something completely different.
That movie's been not that long.
Yeah.
2005 came out the same year as Land of the Dead. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember buying it on DVD when it came out on DVD. So.
Yeah, me too.
But you kind of brought it up, and I was going to ask you guys, what are y'all's like go-to Halloween movies? Like now that it's getting into spooky season, like what's your kind of go-to?
Will?
Oh, definitely Hammer horror.
Hammer horror, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for Hammer. I don't know what it is.
That's Stephanie. That's like her fucking jam. Whenever it starts getting cool and the leaves start falling, she wants to watch all those fucking Dracula and all the Hammer horror shit. She loves that stuff.
Yeah.
I was never big. I don't know. I've never really been big on Hammer horror. Never. I still got to watch some. You still got to show me a few that I need to check out. But any that I've ever seen, it just feels like, I don't know. It just feels like my grandpa's horror movies, because my papa is a huge Hammer horror guy. Like, he loved Christopher Lee and all that.
Yeah.
So like, I guess when I was a kid, like growing up, I'm like, oh, this isn't Jason, this isn't Freddy, like this is just old British guys talking about Dracula or something.
This is the one.
Yep.
Horror of Dracula.
Hell yeah.
That's the fucking one right there. If you're gonna watch one, watch that one.
Okay, there's that one, and then the one that's one of your all-time favorite movies, Will, is
Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell.
Yeah. I gotta check those out. For me, though, I guess my go-tos are always Return of the Living Dead. That's always a good one that I go back to, because that just feels like Halloween. Everybody, and it's funny, I thought about that. I was like, everybody in that movie feels like they're in a costume, but then of course there's the line from fucking
The fucking
Suicide. It's like,
costume.
you think this is a fucking costume?
It's a way of life.
This
But
is
like
Will
everybody in that
Life.
movie is in costume, basically. Like everybody's playing a weird archetype of some character. Like, I'm the punk rocker, I'm the new wave kid, you know, I'm the do-gooder. Like everybody in that movie, and even to the point where the zombies are basically in different costumes. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's always one that feels like Halloween to me. Phantasm is one that just the atmosphere is just perfect Halloween. The music, I mean, that's the music you play on your porch when you're handing out candy, and you're just, you know, you want that in your background music, you know.
Absolutely.
Of course, the Halloween movies. I mean, that's an easy one. You always can go back to those. What are your thoughts on the new Halloween movies?
I love them up until the third one, and it shit the bed completely. And I was actually just having this conversation the other day. I wish they would have kept it, because I think the way that it was all three were supposed to be the same night, right? And then I guess for whatever reason, what is this?
Oh shit!
We got to turn heel. I love Halloween Ends.
You like Corey's Story? You thought that it was a good movie?
I love it. I hate the first two. I don't hate the first two. I hate the first one. The second one was a little better. And then Halloween Ends was like the first time I saw it, because I remember everybody saying this movie's horrible. It's the biggest piece of shit ever. You never watch it. And so I was like immediately like, I got to see this movie. What is this so bad about it? So when I watched it, I was like, this is actually interesting. It's something different. It's not perfect, but it's something different. It's a different take. It's a different story. But at the same time, it's answering all these questions that we've always had about the mythology of Michael Myers. Why does he wear a mask? What turns somebody into what effect does, you know, a town turning against one person have it makes them more evil, makes them angrier. I don't know. Right. I love Halloween Ends. So there you go. There's my Hill promo for tonight.
Well, and I agree with you. I'm not saying that I hate the movie. I'm just saying I don't think, in my opinion, that it worked. It didn't feel cohesive. It felt like they were going in one direction, and then they fucking completely pivoted this other way. And I understand the concept. I understand the reasoning behind that, but I don't think it worked in this situation. I don't think that it worked well. I don't know.
I think it has something to do with COVID. I'm pretty sure they had to change the storyline because of COVID. I remember.
Well, they didn't have to. That's when they decided to do it. I think they had a break. If I don't want to misspeak, because I'm sure somebody out there knows a whole lot more about this shit than I do. But if I remember correctly, they had a break because of COVID, and while they were on their break, they just decided to change it. So and I don't mind it. I think it's a good movie. I don't think that it works well with the series, but if you were to make it standalone, because people said the same thing about Halloween 3, and there's even nods to Halloween 3 in it because of that.
Oh yeah, the title card,
the whole thing, and even the font, it's the same font that they use for Halloween 3, and I get it, and I like it because of that. It just didn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? When I watch it by itself without watching the other two, I'm like, okay, I like it. You know what I mean? I don't understand how the whole fucking town of Haddonfield didn't search that fucking sewer to find Michael Myers for 3 years or whatever. But hey, it's a movie. You know what I mean? We don't need to talk about logic here.
Well, I think to me, the biggest mistake that movie made was having Michael Myers in it at all. Like making him a character at all. Just make it Corey Cunningham and make him into a new monster that this town vilifies and points all their anger and all this shit at, which is the whole point of the whole goddamn story.
That's the whole thing,
But the fact that they bring Michael Myers back and make him this like feeble old man who's just like, and it's almost like it's also harkening back to like Christine, you know, John Carpenter's Christine. It has very Christine vibes a lot of the time, whereas like Corey Cunningham is like the what's the guy that plays the fucking dude in Christine?
We know who you're talking about. It's all good.
It has
the Legend of Billie Jean.
Like Michael Myers is Christine, basically.
Pretty much, who's guiding him and getting all his revenge or whatever. You know, if Michael Myers would have just been in his head, you know, that would have been cool. But the fact that they made him actual Michael Myers and they put him in a meat grinder and shit at the end, spoiler alert, put him in a meat grinder and all at the end, it's like, all right, I guess they felt they had to put him in there, but I don't know.
I know at one point him and Jamie Lee were supposed to go in at the same time.
Oh really?
Wow. I didn't know about that.
I'd heard that. I'd heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. But Halloween Kills I thought is so over the top and stupid that I feel like they knew that it was over the top and stupid. So I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I guess I can forgive it. Whereas the first one, it was too serious. They were trying too hard to make it connect to the original source material, which is just not going to. It's just not.
Yeah.
And the fact that they turned Laurie Strode into like this crazy cat piss lady, and it's just like, but at the same time stripping her of all the trauma that she experienced in part 2, where it's just like, oh, a couple of my friends were killed one night and this guy disappeared, and now or he didn't disappear, actually. They caught him. They actually, in Halloween, they ended up catching him. If he just disappeared, yeah, I could see she'd probably lose her mind over the years, thinking he's around the corner. But they actually catch him and put him in a mental institution for all these years, and she's still like freaking out. I don't know. I just feel like they made her character, in the process of trying to make Laurie Strode stronger, they made her weaker. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I liked the most about Halloween Kills, was that sort of exploration of trauma. You see how all these different characters have reacted over the years and how they still hold all that trauma. Even Tommy Doyle, you know, which I was really disappointed about his character at the end. I wanted him to live, you know. Spoiler alert again, he gets his fucking head bashed in, but
he's no Paul Rudd. I love Anthony Michael, he's no Paul Rudd, by God.
And see, that for the longest time, The Curse, that was my favorite. I know, Will, you talked about the producer's cut, right?
It's a lot better.
I can't stand that shit.
I
hate the producer's cut.
That. Yeah, I remember you saying it last week.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. It just felt, it didn't feel cohesive. I don't know, but the actual part 6, I think for the longest time, that was one of my favorites. So
yeah, that was the one.
And I thought Paul Rudd did a pretty good job as Tommy Doyle.
Not a fan of Paul Rudd.
You don't think so?
Well, I'm just not a fan of Paul Rudd. I mean,
really?
Yeah.
He's one of those actors that never ages. Like, he still looks, 20 something now.
Yeah.
Isn't he like the guy in like the Avengers or whatever? Ant-Man or whatever?
Yeah, he plays Ant-Man. Yeah. So
Ant-Man.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie,
like,
I love Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Do what now?
I liked Rob Zombie's Halloween.
I did too. First time, I like the first half a lot.
Yeah,
like about the kid and all that going up. Mm-hmm. But when it turns into like a straight ahead like remake, attempt, like that's when it kind of lost me. I was just like, okay, well now I know what's going to happen, and it's going to be the same. If it had just been like the first hour or so and made that the feature length movie, I'd been like, all right. Most people would have probably hated the fuck out of that though, but. Like I said, I'm just down for something different. When it comes to these like franchise movies like Halloween or Friday or anything, just show me something different. Like, I love nostalgia and I love, hey, callback, or whatever, but show me something different. Take me down a different journey,
That's the one thing that I didn't like about the Rob Zombie one, though, is that they tried to sort of explain why Michael was the way he was, and all the trauma he dealt with as a kid, and yada yada yada. They spent a lot of time on that. When in the original, he was just fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like he just was evil, and I think that's scarier to me.
Yeah, I agree, and of course they tried. Halloween 2. John Carpenter always says, I was drunk off my ass and I needed to write something, so I made them brother and sister. And like, what a stupid idea that was.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, I do agree with that. John saying, I got the whole system. I don't use True People Search, but maybe in the future. Okay, there you go, John. True People Search, everybody. Not a sponsor of the show tonight, but could be, should be.
I was using genealogy and ancestry, trying to find Duane, trying to find Duane Jones's parents, but I didn't want to. I wound up not paying for it, so I found a little bit of information, but yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to cop in for the the monthly fees for it.
I don't know what this is. Do you know what this is? The Atlanta Mall Guard video was a classic channel, body cam footage of tasers, etc.
No, I don't know about the channel. I know there's been lots of footage out there about people getting in fights with mall guards, but
I believe it. Hey, what's up, Robert? Robert Harbert's the second. What's going on, brother? Hello, everyone. Just saying hi. I'm working, can't watch now, but watch later. I appreciate it, man. Have a good night at work. I hope it goes by smoothly for you. What's this sad news? Internet archive services are temporarily offline. Oh, I hope they didn't go broke. Maybe you should have paid that monthly fee, Matt. or is it something else there? I think Sid Haig would have made a great Art the Clown. Nah, Sid Haig did his own thing. Sid Haig created Captain Spaulding, which is a completely different type of character. More entertaining character to me, but Bonnie Bailey's a big Hammer horror fan. Yes, she's old. Well, we all are. It's fine. There's a good one. Creepshow starts near Halloween. That's true. Creepshow's a good Romero Halloween movie. It literally starts first 2 shots of the movie or of a jack-o'-lantern in the Tom Atkins house. Bonnie says also likes the Amicus movies.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Since saying some horror stuff is great. So okay, yeah, I'm in the minority. One of these days I'll give it a shot. But
it's like
never in my universe, you know.
It's like one of those things that Will was talking about. It's like a warm blanket. It's one, like Hammer horror. That's just what it's like. It's just one of those things where you just want to get on the couch and just get in a blanket and just watch all of them, you know.
You're saying my staple Halloween movies: Universal Monsters, John Carpenter, Hammer films, and old RKO movies.
Oh, let me show you something. This is someone got this for me. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool.
That is neat.
Yeah.
Is that a print or an actual sketch?
I think it's maybe a print or a sketch. Okay. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that's it's not a Universal Monster movie, but it's based on one, I guess. Yeah. But Young Frankenstein is another popular title that I watch around Halloween all the time.
Oh, that is a good one. Frankenstein.
I'm a huge Gene Wilder fan. Definitely Return of the Living Dead movies. What other good Halloween movies are you guys watching around this time of year? Bonnie saying she liked Halloween 3. Rewatched it yesterday. It's decent standalone. Yeah, that was one of those movies that, like, for years growing up, people were like, don't watch that one. Michael Myers isn't in it and it sucks. I'm like, all right. And then I got older and I was like, oh, I'm going to watch it. And then I watched it. I was like, oh, this is actually probably my favorite Halloween sequel, actually.
I agree 100%. Yeah. It's my favorite. I love that movie.
My go-to is like all the Halloween Roseanne episodes.
Yeah, those are nobody did Halloween specials like Roseanne, for sure.
I know.
Because that reminds me of growing up, like, because my family, like my mom's side of the family, Halloween is like our Christmas. Like, I see members of the family on Halloween that I don't see any other time of the year, because everybody dresses up and everybody comes to Granny's house, and then we hand out candy and I dress up like Michael Myers and I go scare the kids, and it's like this whole thing. So yeah, watching those Roseanne episodes definitely reminds me of growing up, and because that's how it was. Let's see, Lost Boys. That's a good good Halloween one. Underrated zombie flick. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. Bob Clark. That's an underrated, underseen, under-talked about movie, really. Is Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
The Bob Clark?
Yeah, Black Christmas and A Christmas Story and
really?
Yeah, what a catalog that guy had. That dude could do any fucking movie. That. Yeah. Yeah, he also did Death Dream, I think, is another early one that he did with I want to say Savini. Did Savini do something on that, or am I thinking of something else?
Never heard of it.
Since I'm generally not a Rob Zombie fan, but Devil's Rejects is okay. His older music is okay, but mostly derivative of Ministry and others before him. For sure, yeah.
Were you ever a White Zombie fan?
Yeah, I like White Zombie quite a bit. I was never a huge White Zombie fan. Like, I could never, like, just really get into an album or anything White Zombie, but, like, I grew up, Twisted Metal was like a constant on the PlayStation back in the day, and that was just nothing but like Rob Zombie and White Zombie fucking music. So yeah, we grew up listening to that shit. See, Rick Sandy agrees with Bonnie. Really like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. It's a good standalone. I think Tom Atkins did a great job playing the main character. Tom Atkins is great in anything, even Bruiser, Matt.
Except Bruiser.
I'm gonna turn you on. I'm gonna turn you around on that. I swear to God.
I'm gonna give it another shot, dude. I don't know. I'll watch it again. I promise.
Do it. Yeah, that Synth and Sad News that knocked down the warehouse using Halloween 3.
So not all of it. They knocked down some of it, and I've actually got one of the bricks. So
Oh wow.
Lolita, it's in Lolita, California. Lolita Creamery. They own it, and I guess a piece of it got demolished, like one part of it. They were actually selling the bricks, and you could buy them for like $5, but you could also get them engraved with like the Silver Shamrock logo and like the little TV logo on it and shit like that. So I think you can still pick them up, but it's not the whole thing. It's just some of it.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Who's in charge of that? Who's selling all that?
Lolita Creamery. It's whoever.
Oh, it's just the business, the people.
Yeah, it's the people that own it. Yeah.
Did you say Sean Clark?
I was like,
hey, if that motherfucker can find a way to make a dime, he will.
Yeah, he will.
He's
right.
brilliant, man. He's brilliant. I love his content.
Oh, shut up, Will. The original White Zombie movie with Bela Lugosi. There you go. There's it going. There you go. Death Dream with Early Savini. There you go. You know what I'm talking about.
See, if there was anybody that would know, it's fucking Synth.
There you go. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Brett says, I like Carpenter's idea for Halloween 3, and he planned to release a new Halloween story each year. Too bad public didn't appreciate the idea back then. Yeah, I mean, it was a... the Michael Myers character had already become so iconic at that point. It's kind of hard to do something without him and call it Halloween, so I kind of understand it.
Well, I mean, and it comes back to what we were talking about earlier. Whatever makes money is what they're going to do. That's why they pumped out fucking 9 Halloween movies. You know what I mean? It's because they made money. People wanted to see them. So
yeah, that's all that matters. It's all right. Meeting Scott and Gaylen. Let's talk about that a little bit. What do you guys think? First of all, what are your thoughts? So Scott looked to be in much better shape than he did at Living Dead Weekend a couple of years ago. He was in much better spirits. I mean, he was actually walking, so that's a good sign. Apparently, he told Will, guess he broke his back?
Yeah, he told me he broke his back.
Did he say how?
No.
But, so I'm assuming that's the whole reason that he's been in a wheelchair the last couple of times. And I mean, but yeah, he seemed like he was in much better shape this time. I know he was still using a walker, but at least he's upright. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but he seemed, he's still pretty with it. Like not, he was outside smoking when I was outside taking a smoke break, and he was out there smoking, talking to some folks. And I was hearing him talking about, living in Los Angeles and the homeless problem that LA is going through now. And just, he's, still very with it, very lucid. So that's good.
Yeah.
Because when I met him at Living Dead Weekend a couple of years ago, I couldn't tell because he had a mask on and he was just very quiet and just kind of not very, very talkative. But I don't know. I thought I had a good interaction with him this time.
I did too. Yeah.
It was more personal.
It did. Yeah. It did. And I was going to bring that up too. I thought it was really cool after the panel, how we kind of, just the three of us kind of had an opportunity just to hang out with him and talk to him for a little bit.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. That felt special to me. So, but,
yeah. And one thing that really struck me about him and just the way he looks back on his legacy with Dawn of the Dead and his character, he's put a lot of thought into it, to the point where at the end of that panel, because we went to that panel discussion, at the end of the panel, he actually ended up asking the audience a question because he was just genuinely curious. Like, why is it this movie? Why do you always come back to this movie? And I thought that was a real interesting takeaway that I had from just interacting with Scott. This go around is you see how, and really when you juxtapose the way because I got during the panel, I asked the question, how much input did you guys have in your characters? Was it a lot of you? Was it George's ideas and writings? And it was two very different kind of takes, because Scott was like, oh yeah, me and George, we didn't, really didn't talk about it too much. He just kind of said, take the script and kind of take it whatever direction you want to go in. put whatever. And so Scott's got, made up this big, backstory for Roger. I mean, he mentioned it at the panel. He's like, I got a whole backstory, but I won't get into it now. I'm like, no, get into it. What is his backstory?
Right.
I
We
want
wanna
to
hear it.
know. Yeah. So Scott's more thinking of his character in the form, and which makes total sense that he would go on and direct, for off Broadway and doing theater and stuff like that. He's looking at it more in terms of like a performance wise, like what drives this case. Like I was talking about with Timothy Hutton earlier. It's like, what motivation, what is this character's motivation? Whereas Gaylen's response was different. She said she did, talk to George a lot about that character, but it wasn't as much of like, where did this character come from and what is this character's motivation as much as what is this character going to represent? And to me, I felt like Gaylen was more like, I want this character to be kind of a feminine or a feminist idol, because she always said, oh, it was pre Sigourney Weaver, and I wanted to make her strong. And she said she came up with the line, I would have made you all coffee and breakfast, but I don't have my pots and pans. Like, so it really, when you see where these two actors' careers went after Dawn of the Dead, Gaylen's making political independent documentary films now, and that's what she's been doing for years and years and years. Whereas Scott has gone the way of directing theater and staying, I think he was teaching acting at one point. So two very different styles of the way that they approach those characters, I thought was really, really interesting. And it just goes to show, like, George's style, kind of like what me and Matt were talking about at Videodrome. We were still going back and forth about Bruiser, about George's leniency with kind of letting the actors kind of do their own thing. Whereas, maybe for good or bad, with somebody like Peter Stormare, maybe go over the top a little too much, or you make it a little under with, Simon Baker or some of the other actors that he worked with later on. When you have an actor like Scotty, who you can just say, okay, just kind of take it and, put whatever motivation you need to put into it to get out of it what you think works. And Scott took it and ran with it. And I after talking, I'll shut up in a second and let you guys talk. But I've been thinking about this a lot ever since the fucking panel. But after talking to Matt about it, because you brought up Scott's performance in Dawn, and listening to him talk about that panel and just what he kind of put into that character and creating a whole backstory and stuff for it. It really, like, I've always liked his performance in Dawn of the Dead, but I've come to appreciate it a whole hell of a lot more ever since then. Right? I think there's a lot there.
Because you think that he had more control over that? Is that why you like it so much?
I just think that it's coming from, I think he put the thought into it. He's got, because like I said, the actors' motivations for what they're trying to get out of their characters is obviously different. When you look at how Scott approached his character and how Gaylen approached her character, whereas one was more like societal, like, I want to make a statement with this character, whereas the other one's more like, I want to portray a human being with this character. I want to bring a human element to it. And maybe I just didn't fully see that or recognize that in Scott's performance as Roger, but here recently I've been thinking about, I'm just like, there's a lot there, and listening to him talk about it, you can tell he put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into that character. But
he did, and that was actually the question that I was going to ask him, was how much of that was him and how much of that was George. So that was really fascinating to hear his input on that, because that's what you always hear about George. He's just like, just do whatever you want to do, pretty much. And so I was curious, is like Scott's sort of slow mental decline. That's sort of my favorite part of that movie, and how much of that was him and how much of that was George. So it was really fascinating to hear him talk about that. I really enjoyed that. So.
Will, any thoughts about the panel?
Well, I mean, I was kind of touched by that story he shared with his daughter and Tina, and how he got choked up. Like, that was kind of special. I didn't expect that. That was like, oh, that came out of nowhere. But it was very moving.
Yeah, because it was just kind of it was in passing. He was just kind of talking to me. He was like, oh yeah, my daughter met Tina, and then they're friends to this day. And he just kind of choked up, and he was just like, all right, like, it's like that meme of Vince McMahon doing the I can't
talk
about it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, you know, it felt to me that, and I've been to a lot of panels, and I typically nowadays kind of tend to skip them, but I felt like this panel, and I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the fact that there weren't any fucking people there, but it felt smaller, it felt more intimate, and I felt like when Gaylen was speaking, especially, it felt like Gaylen was speaking to the three of us. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like she was the whole time kind of turned facing us. She knew that we were there for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm right up front with my fucking Day of the Dead shirt on, and she's like, yeah. And then she sees Will. Will's got his Dawn shirt
We're
on.
just sitting there like this.
Yeah, we're like the big fans, and you know,
tell us stories.
We're like,
yeah.
like we can talk. We can talk for hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but no, I thought that was cool when Scott asked, like, why do you guys keep coming back? Like, what is it about this movie? And Will, you know, you were talking about how it's just like a warm blanket, and it's just like that comfort. There's just something about it. And everybody in there's a lot of people in there that had something to say and something personal to speak about. But and then Will, I think you kind of touched on it too, that like, you know, like it's kind of like brought a lot of people together. Like, you know, it's kind of brought us all together. And, you know, we were able to kind of talk about how we're all from all these different parts of the country, and how we're all kind of connected because of this film and because of George and his work. And I hope that he hears that, and I'm sure he does, and I'm sure he knows that. But I thought that was kind of a cool example, you know, in that moment, because like, you know, I'm from Atlanta, I'm here already, but you guys are from Kentucky and Indiana, and you know, we're all kind of sitting together as a family, listening to them talk. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part where Scott asked the guy, and hearing everybody else talking, just the other people you're sitting around, because a lot of the times you're sitting there and, you know, it's something like that. You're looking, it's like, well, how big of a fan are these people really? You know, like, you know, are they here just to listen to people talk, or they really love this movie, or, you know, well, what's going on? And then you hear them talking, you're like, oh, fuck, they do love this movie. Like, well, I'm not, it's that thing of like growing up in a fucking town of like the only guy that loves this shit. And it's like you're around other people and you start realizing again, it's like, oh, I'm around people that love this shit as much as me. Oh, shit, this is awesome. So,
well, it was kind of, I'm sure he gets tired of hearing about the fucking Zack Snyder shit too. Because there was like one or two people, and what do you think about fast zombies? And and then I was like, can you talk about Night Riders, please?
Yeah.
You know,
And
so, but
because I was going to ask that originally, but then I started thinking, I was like, oh man, I kind of want to ask them about their performances. So I think we just kind of switched.
We traded.
You were, you basically, I took your question, you took mine, so it worked out.
I think I asked him what his favorite character was that he ever did, and he said it was Roger.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess it would have to be, because that was his one major like starring film role. I don't know if maybe some theater stuff he may, because he seemed to speak really highly and fondly of his time, you know, working
he
in
seemed
theater.
like he really appreciated that, like he really focused on that a lot. So,
but yeah, it's kind of hard to beat, you know, Roger. You know, you're it's the role that he took and did that still has him 45 years later sitting on a stage talking about it, you know, like and I wonder if like I would love to ask any of these people this stuff, anybody that ever had anything to do with any of these movies, like, but I don't think I'd ever get like a real answer. Maybe, but I don't know. Do they understand, like, I don't know. I just look at my own life and I'm like, oh, what, you know, when I die, will anybody remember me? Will anybody know who I am? And it's like these people did something in their life that their name will go on for. I mean, for fuck's sake, Duane Jones has been dead since 1988, and here we are visiting his gravesite. Like, people don't know. He didn't know us. You know, we didn't really know him.
Right.
But we're you know, we're paying our respects to his grave just because he was in this movie that, you know, made us who we are and helped us make friendships and you know, moments, experiences, shit like that. You know, I don't know.
Well, and I think the ones that are still with us, I mean, I think they do know because we keep showing up, right? I mean, they know because we keep telling them, you know, at these conventions and whenever we can, you know, hemming them up in the hallway by themselves, you know. You know, I think they know. I think they do. I think that they truly understand and can appreciate the impact that they've had on our lives.
Yeah.
Obviously, Duane never will, but I don't really think he really cared anyway, right? I mean,
No,
that was sort of the thing, is
Yeah.
he didn't really want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But I
But
think they know.
I wonder if his opinions would have changed though over the years. That's the thing that always bugs me, is like, oh man, if Duane was here today, like if he was still here, surely to God he would at some point be like, okay, I'll come to one of these Living Dead weekends or something.
God,
And
his autograph would be like $200 or $300. I can see it now.
oh yeah, he'd be charging them Kane Hodder prices
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
But I don't think. But see, I feel like that'd be something he just wouldn't be down with. Like I don't feel like you want to pay me to sign something. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't do. Why? I don't
Yeah.
want to
Like-
do that. Like
Kind of like how Tommy Lafitte is now. He doesn't like to do cons, but
Yeah.
man, I've been wanting to meet him for years.
yeah,
He hasn't been at the last couple of Living Dead weekends.
Nope.
mm-mm.
Like
Huh.
I think he came by Joe Shelby's table last year for a little bit, and that was about it.
Yeah,
Wow.
he'll stop by just to see people, but he won't.
Yeah.
He won't sign
Yeah.
anything. I think I remember
Hmm.
hearing somebody say they tried to get him to sign something. He wouldn't do it.
Me, I
Yeah.
messaged him. I was like, "Hey, can you? Hey, I'll pay you. For an 8x10. Like
And he's just like, no, I'm good.
he opened it and just not even responded. So
Wow.
which is okay. I mean, I'll get it eventually.
Yeah. Some people just aren't in, but I don't know. Like, I'm sure they know and I'm sure they understand on some level, but
Yeah.
I just couldn't fathom, I guess, is my thing.
Right.
Like, if
And-
I did something that is universally recognized, and like the people, like the guys that made Night of the Living Dead, you see them on Nightcast, like you see Gary on Nightcast, you're like, oh, that's a cool dude. Like Larry's a good, like a cool guy, but it's just like, but that's one of the like key members of the crew that made one of the, if not the most famous horror movie ever made,
Absolutely.
Night of the Living Dead. But to him, he's just like, oh yeah, it was cool. We had a good time back then,
Yeah.
and I still love celebrating it now, But it's just like, but do you fucking fathom that you helped create Night of the Living Dead? Do you fathom that? Really?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't. Sometimes I don't know.
When I first met him, I was like, yeah, I'm so excited to finally meet you, because I missed him the previous year. I went back on I think it was the Sunday. I went back to try to get him to sign my Night poster, and he'd already left the convention, so I didn't get to see him until the following year. And I was like, oh man, I'm so excited to finally meet you, and I'm trying to meet everybody from Night that I can. And he was like, well, you better fucking hurry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be around much longer. So
it's true. Sadly,
but he just had a really good sort of disposition about it. And he's
always been super cool. Anytime I've
super
met
cool
him.
fucking guy. Yeah. So
although I do, so I'm working on getting him and Jim Serenella on the channel soon. To talk about Image 10 and Nightcast and all they got going on, because they got a lot going on right now. And I'm gonna get you guys' thought, because I know. So I guess the rumor, the thought is that Gary Striner was the real producer of Season of the Witch. Like, he was pretty much the real producer of Season of the Witch, but he kind of got fucked out of that deal and he doesn't really like to talk about it. Should I ask him about it?
Yeah,
I want to know. I want to know.
Yeah,
but
I don't think that would be. I mean, the only thing he can say is, I don't really want to talk about it. It's not a big deal. I mean, I don't think that anything's like off the table.
Yeah,
it's Romero related. I don't see why not.
Yeah, and for something like Season of the Witch, it doesn't really get talked about a lot. I mean, he would, I'm sure he has tons of information on that.
How about this? How about you tuck that one away for a little bit, and then once the conversation gets rolling and things are looking good, then you fucking bust it out on them.
Just come right out with it and be like, welcome to the show. First and foremost, Gary, Season of the Witch. What are your thoughts? But yeah, that's just one of those movies that get talked about a lot that I would love to get more information on.
Well, and they should. I think anyone that's involved in one way or the other, to sort of preserve these films and the information around them, I don't see why they shouldn't talk about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even if you don't like it. I mean, even if they don't like talking about it, I mean, let's throw it out there anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For us.
I guess it's just just from what I heard, it was a really, really rough experience for him that he doesn't like to revisit too much. So that's why I was just kind of like, what? I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe tiptoe, dip a little toe and just kind of play with the idea for a minute and see where it's going, kind of fish a little bit, and then just hit them with it.
Season of the Witch, thoughts. But yeah, Gaylen, we talked a little bit about Scotty. So how was your interaction with Gaylen, guys? Because me and Will were talking about it a little bit on the way home. I kind of feel like so you feel like a motherly vibe from some folks, like Lori Cardille, Sharon Hill, Judith O'Day. Sometimes you meet them and they're very loving and very like open. I don't get that vibe from Gaylen too much.
No, what it feels like to me, and this is what it sort of felt like last year too, 2023. It almost feels transactional, kind of like what we talked about with how some people feel with Savini.
Yeah,
she was definitely more talkative. I mean, she spoke to my wife, she spoke to my son, she spoke to me. We talked about Pittsburgh, we talked about this and that, and it seemed a little better this time than it did last time. My experience with Scott was definitely better this time than it was last time. But just little things like I know when you were taking your picture with her, she didn't really seem like she really wanted to get very like touchy or close.
But I did it anyway. I was like, "No, you're hugging me."
Yeah, she was.
Like, I'm not really a hugger.
She was like, "I don't really hug people." Yeah,
right. But you're hugging me.
Like, bitch, I drove here from Kentucky. Right. You hugging me? Right. But yeah, that's it. Just kind of felt sort of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
but I guess I had to look. I guess you guys were sitting there talking, and me and Gaylen we were just yapping away with one another.
Yeah.
I was telling her about going to David's funeral. How it went. Like I showed her the pictures from the memorial, and she was. I mean, she was going through my phone. She was like, "Oh wow!" She was like, "Look at that beard he had." I mean,
yeah, I did. I caught the tail end of that. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
And then when I had her sign my 3D poster, she's like, "Oh, I've never seen this before." So that was her first 3D poster signage. So
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was definitely cool. I'm not saying that she was like cold or anything.
No.
But what I'm like, I just get the vibe from her that she's more career driven type. That she's just not. I don't know. She's not.
Not as personal, maybe? Is that what you're trying to say? Like not as personal?
No, I mean she's personable enough. She's just more I don't know the fucking word I'm looking for. Like I said, career driven, she's more focused on
like flowers in the attic, grandmother type thing.
No. Not quite that. But like when you meet Lori Cardille, it seems like Lori would like if you have a problem, you could confide in Lori Cardille and she'd give you a big hug and just and talk to you about it. Whereas Gaylen would be like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. All right." Like she's just more
there.
Yeah,
she's like, "All right,
absolutely.
Just deal with it," which is fine. I mean, I'm probably more like Gaylen than Lori in that regard too.
But you know what? At the end of the day, I still cherish her.
Absolutely.
I still love her.
Oh yeah.
I don't care.
And I got to check out some of her work, some of her movies. I've never seen any of her documentaries. I got to check them out. I know Tony Bubba and her are still really good really good friends. And I remember him mentioning her documentaries when I talked to Tony back in June.
That's one of the things I think we spoke about at her table. We talked a lot about Tony and we talked about Braddock and Pittsburgh and stuff like that. So,
well, Will asked her about, because I know she went to that Jelly Roll and Post Malone concert in Madison Square Garden, and she was like, "Oh," and Will was like, "Yeah, I follow you on Instagram or whatever." Let's see here. Grab some comments from Bonnie. I've been working through a list of horror movies I haven't seen. One of these is Talk to Me, which I thought was pretty good. You guys seen Talk to Me?
Haven't seen
Jordan
that one.
Peele?
No, Talk to Me.
Jordan Peele?
No,
that's the one with the hand, right?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that
you hold and get possessed.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I saw it in the theater. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I had a lot of issues with it, but it's not terrible. But I didn't think, because everybody was just putting it over big time, like it was the greatest thing that they'd seen ever. And I was just like, it's fine.
I'm not a paranormal horror type guy. Like I like The Exorcist, but I'm just not a paranormal guy. Like the whole
You know what I actually saw the other day, which I really appreciated, was Late Night with the Devil. I didn't think I would like it, but it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that one quite a bit
enjoyed it.
too.
Yeah,
The end was a little meh, but
yeah. That's kind of where it went off the rails for me too. But
yeah,
I really like films that sort of underuse scores, and they
Mhm.
kind of utilize silence in
hmm
certain ways, and I think that was very effective in that movie. Um, so it just kind of resonated. It just kind of hit with me. I like that movie a lot.
yeah. Like I said, I still have to finish the New Salem's Lot, but Late Night with the Devil might be my favorite horror movie that I've seen this year so far of
Yeah,
all the ones that I've seen.
yeah.
Trying to think, maybe I'm overlooking one, but
I saw
that's the one that
Oddity.
stands out.
Have you seen Oddity? That's sort of one that's been
Mm-mm.
floating around too, getting good reviews. I think it's on Shutter. It might be like a Shutter exclusive or something like
Oddity, I
that.
think I've
Maybe
heard that.
Oddity. Yeah, it's. I don't want to give away too much. If you see it around somewhere, just go ahead and watch it and let me know what you think. So
Okay,
yeah,
Oddity. Um, since the internet light again, only part of the building. There you go. Yeah,
yeah.
you can't believe everything you read on the internet, guys.
No.
Recently, I always wanted to take a weekend excursion drive to Lolita, California, just to sightsee.
Yeah.
I think Will's wanting to do that at some point, possibly
Yeah.
next year. Is taking a trip out to the West Coast, hitting up all the locations, the Carpenter locations, Halloween, The Fog. I'd love to see that fucking lighthouse from The Fog.
Oh
That's
yeah.
another
Yeah.
good Halloween movie.
What is that
Salem's
point?
Lot. Salem's
Point
Lot.
Reyes, isn't that where the
Yeah.
lighthouse is? Point Reyes,
Yeah.
California, or
Mhm.
some shit.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
that's one of my bucket list locations. So
Yeah, there's so much that you could do on the West Coast. Just fucking throw a rock.
And Salem's Lot was filmed in Ferndale, which is a little north
Mm.
of the lighthouse.
Well, if you keep going north, if you're on that West Coast, and I know you're a big fan. If you go into Washington, I can't remember the name of it, but it was filmed in Washington. The filming locations for Twilight.
you weren't talking
Just
to me,
saying.
right? It was that guy.
Anybody out there?
No,
I
not
don't
a
remember. I
Twilight
heard that.
fan, buddy.
I heard that somewhere not too long ago, and I was just like, okay.
But we're talking about Salem's Lot, and speaking of vampires with Twilight, did you guys see Midnight Mass? You guys Mike
Oh
Flanagan
yeah,
fans?
that was good. Yeah, that
Dude,
was really
oh my
good.
God, Mike, dude, you got to see this shit. You have Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see Midnight Mass, dude. Mike Flanagan is a
Mike
fucking
Flanagan. That's
master.
right. I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah,
awesome show.
I don't know if I've ever seen a Mike Flanagan movie actually.
Well, it's a series. It's
It's a series. Okay.
yeah, it's a series,
Wait a
and
minute, didn't
it's
he do the Legend of Hell House or whatever the hell that movie?
yeah.
or
Well,
that
he does
show
like
called?
modern adaptations of classic stories. So there's like The Haunting of Hill House, The
Yeah,
Haunting of
that's
Bly
the one.
Manor, Follow the House of Usher. He does a lot of like modern takes on old stories.
Okay.
But Midnight Mass is completely original. It's his own story, but it's fucking brilliant, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially if you like vampire stuff, because it never says that. I don't want to give it away. I'm not gonna go into it, but basically they're on an island. So there's a lot of like religious themes and stuff like that. And some shit starts popping off. It's really good. You got to see it.
What is he? I think I read recently that he's going to be doing the next Exorcist movie.
Yeah, he's supposed to be working on the
Another
next Exorcist. Yeah, I think he's kind of the whole David Gordon Green thing. I think that fell to pieces, and
Yeah,
I
they
guess
scrapped that shit after Believer.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
we're not doing 2 more of these. Let's try something different.
Yeah, so I think he's going to helm that. But he's also working on. We were talking about Stephen King before. He's doing the Dark Tower series. So like an actual honest, honoring Stephen King.
Did he direct Stephen King? What the fuck is that? Dr. Sleep? Was that him?
He directed Dr. Sleep. That was
Okay.
Mike Flanagan.
Okay, I've seen that. Okay.
Yeah. And then there's another one coming out too that he did. The Life of I can't remember. The newer Stephen King stuff. I haven't paid attention to. It's like The Life of Pete or some shit like that. I can't remember what it's called, but it's got Loki in it. It's got the guy that plays Loki is the main character in it. So, but yeah.
I'll have to check out Midnight. So you said Midnight Mass on Netflix.
Midnight
right?
Mass on Netflix.
Okay.
Yes. Please do yourself a favor. It's awesome, dude.
Since says, do you think Scott and Gaylen will go to Living Dead weekend next year? That's an interesting question because I'm not sure.
So when I was, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, okay. I was like, so when we were leaving the panel, me and Scott kind of hung back, and I was kind of walking with him, and I was like, I was like, do you plan on doing these, much longer? He's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna keep doing as long as I can. So,
hopefully, yeah. I mean, when I was talking to Gaylen, she was like, I don't know. I haven't heard. She said she hadn't heard anything about next year yet, so I'm sure they'll reach out to her at some point. But
I'm just curious. I'm just curious though. So like next year, Living Dead weekend, it's the anniversary Day of the Dead. You got the 40th anniversary of Day of the Dead now, which is crazy. You got the anniversary of Return of the Living Dead, the anniversary of Reanimator. Land of the Dead, 20-year anniversary for Land of the Dead. So I don't know if they're gonna. I'm just not sure if they'll reach out to Scott, Gaylen, Ken, and bring them in for this show next year because they're going to be focusing more of their time and energy trying to bring in a lot of the bigger guests for like Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead again, the Day of the Dead, Lori and Terry and Jarlath and those guys. So I honestly don't, just my opinion, I don't know fucking shit, and I could be completely wrong about this. This is probably more of a question for somebody like Larry, but in my opinion, I don't think they'll be at Living Dead weekend next year.
Yeah. Maybe one or two, possibly. Right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ken possibly. Ken will do it. Ken will be there.
Yeah, Ken will be there. He was at the Night 90 themed one. So
yeah.
I mean, he could show up. So but Gaylen was surprised too, like because she was like, "Oh, what was the theme this year?" And I was like, "I believe it was Creep Show." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "I'm surprised they didn't ask you to come. You're fucking in the movie." And she was like, "Yeah, they didn't reach out to me." So,
well, I also know that they were at last year's event or this year's whatever, the most previous event. I do remember hearing that they were having issues booking some guests and getting all that arranged because of the hotel situation.
The
So
hotel,
yeah. Which hopefully the Double Tree will be up and going by the time next year rolls around. So hopefully they won't have that issue. If that is a thing. Rick says, "Oh, definitely 2 Halloween movies from Hell and Interview with the Vampire." Interview with the Vampire is an interesting one that I remember everybody talking about back in the day, but I don't hear anybody talk about now. What are your Will? I know you're a vampire. Are you a fan of Interview with the Vampire at all?
I mean, yeah, it was okay, but I mean, it's Hollywood. I mean,
it is Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. That's pretty Hollywood. So
yeah, and it sort of had some gay undertones, and it was just
well, they were gay in the book.
Well, okay, well there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's your undertones.
Yeah, that's it. It makes sense.
There's Matt and his reading again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All your damn reading.
Just call him. I'm a fucking nerd. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know in the new AMC series that it's very risque-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like watching a lot of films with sex. I mean, straight sex, gay sex. Like, why does every movie got to have sex in it?
Yeah,
I've noticed that's a new thing too. You don't really see, like, you watch any movie from the 80s, there's like a sex scene, there's just gratuitous nudity. You don't see that a whole lot anymore. I think the younger generations just like they get uncomfortable by it or something. Anytime you see nudity or anything, like even in horror movies, it feels, you just like you'll see something like Terrifier 3 or something like that where somebody's getting their spine ripped out of their asshole. But if somebody takes their top off, it's like, oh, this is offensive.
Oh boy, I remember when I was a kid. That's how I would see that stuff, man. I couldn't wait to find one of my dad's VHS tapes. Fucking Basic Instinct. You remember that shit?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, there's a titty. Oh my god.
That was like a big selling. I guess why they did it back then. But that was like a big selling point because we didn't have the internet back then. You couldn't just look and see literally anything you want to see now. Back then, it was just like, oh, there's boobs in this movie. Hell yeah, let's go.
Yep.
Rob Lucas says, Maniac. What's up, Rob? I know you dropped in here. This is probably 10:30. Yeah, this is. I'm a little bit behind. You're about 30 minutes ago, but what's up, man? Maniac Cop 2 is pretty amazing, and the fire chase at the end of Maniac Cop 3 is insane. Okay, Maniac Cop 3 getting a shout out. as along with 2. I'm not a big fan of the Maniac Cop movies. I love Maniac, but I was never a big fan of the Maniac Cop movies.
No.
So. Excuse me. Rick says we'll be glad when Halloween comes around. Been through a little hell week for real here in my apartment complex. Jerk landlords. Well, yeah, that seems to be a common theme when you're renting. Fucking landlord switch. If you're looking for a new home and need a loan, I know somebody that can help you out. Just let me know. Since I was Gaylen selling her films at the show, no, but I think she said you can find them on her website. What that website is right now, off the top of my head, I don't know. But I'm sure if you Google Gaylen Ross, I'm sure it'll pop up.
Yeah, there's a site out there somewhere. I think you can get autographs online too from her.
Okay. I can't remember what it was. She told me what the hell it was, but I'm just if you Google Gaylen Ross, I'm sure it'll pop up. Which I'll do that right now, just to fucking do it. Just to give her
it's not even a real name.
No, it's like her production company. grfilmsinc.com.
No, Gaylen Ross is not even her real name.
No, yeah. What is her real name?
I found it one day, but I don't remember what it was.
Anybody?
I don't know it.
TruePeopleSearch.com.
What?
TruePeopleSearch.com.
Without using TruePeopleSearch.com. Anybody in the chat know Gaylen Ross's real name? Anybody?
Do you know what it is?
Gail Rosenbaum.
I did it one.
Rosenbaum.
Yeah, Gail Rosenbaum. Yep. But yeah.
Well, do you use that on people for real?
Hell yeah.
I believe it too. I believe it.
I gotta vet people sometimes, you know.
Sometimes you do. Fuck, where was I? I was scrolling through the chat seeing if anybody knew Gaylen Ross's real name, but I lost my track. Okay, here we go. Yeehaw was Scott's own contribution. I think so. I think Scott just off the cuff went on when. Whoopee.
We whipped him good. We whipped him, didn't we? That's right. We whipped him and we whipped him good.
We whipped him and we got it all.
We got it all.
And I love that little look he gives at the end of that, where he's just like,
right.
It's almost like, wait a minute, what do we have? We got nothing here.
He's just kind of looking around the room.
No worries, man. Just vent all you want, man. We're here to vent. It's late Sunday night, and we got back to. Well, I got to go back to work tomorrow. I think Will's off tomorrow for Columbus Day. You work tomorrow, Matt?
Oh yeah, I got to go back. I'm going in late.
Indigenous Peoples Day. Indigenous Peoples Day.
Get it right, dude. Things have changed.
Nah.
He said nope.
Hey, I was brought up to respect Christopher Columbus, and I'm sorry, but that dude had some big ass balls to just jump in a boat and cross the ocean, and
especially in 1492.
Yeah, really, I wouldn't do that now on an actual ship.
God, could you imagine all the piss and shit was on?
Oh my God, that's where all the disease came from.
There you go. Couldn't help it. It was just natural.
We probably got some type of bacterial infection in our lungs from walking in that staircase.
Probably.
I thought about that too, but they covered it in cat litter, so I think that I think that makes it okay. It's fine.
Yeah, those were my bullet points. Were human feces, crack pipes, overpriced autographs.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Crack pipes and human feces.
And it's crazy too, dude. Like even in Little 5 Points where we hung out that night, like it seems like a pretty nice area, but like if you were to go behind some of those buildings, like I mean, I've seen people just drop trow and take shits right there. Like I don't know what it is. So, but
you got to be pretty comfortable.
Yeah,
no, you got to be pretty fucking high. Is what you got to be.
Or that, yeah. But you know, what one goes with the other. When you're pretty fucking high, you're pretty fucking comfortable, I guess.
You're right.
As Pink Floyd says, comfortably numb. I think that's the term they use.
Yeah.
John said, I think Duane would have really shied away from all of it. He didn't want to be thought of as Ben or typecast as some role like that. Maybe he would went to one just to say thanks. Yeah, like I said, I think maybe over time he would have softened up on it. But it is pretty well known. He used to refer to Night of the Living Dead as that silly monster movie I made back in the day.
Yeah.
So, but I did. I have been wanting to, after visiting his gravesite, I have been wanting to watch Ganja and Hess. I've never seen Ganja and Hess, but that's one of his starring roles that sounds like something I might be interested in. I'm not sure, but I know it's on Tubi, but I haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
Yeah.
Rick says the original Creature Features host Bob Wilkins from KTVU would say horror movies keep America strong. That's true. That's our it's our greatest export. Since he does the podcast from the Evans City Cemetery. Oh, you're talking about Gary? Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, John's saying I don't think Gary avoids it. I'm about 100%. I heard him say he produced it to someone. Yeah, I mean that's what I've always heard. And here's Larry saying it's true. Gary fully produced season. There you go. But like I said, that's what I've always heard. But I've always heard that he doesn't really like talking about it because it was such a shitty experience for him. But that's like a guy that I would love to get on like a commentary track for Season of the Witch. Like if anybody, but John's saying also, please, you're a Romero fan, call it Jack's Wife, not Jack Harris's second rename title. Well, Jack's Wife. Well, I feel like, to me, they're different movies. And after trying to do the fucking Season of the Witch watch along and not knowing which fucking version I'm watching, I feel like there's different versions of that movie. So there is a version of that movie that I do refer to as Jack's Wife, which is the one that was cut together and compiled by Michael Felsher for that Arrow. Then there's the Season of the Witch cut, which is shorter and all that. But
and that's how George referred to it, was Jack's Wife.
That's true. Yeah. Which is a much better title, but for what it is. More inside info about Ray Lane. I'm down for that always.
Absolutely. I'd love to hear more about Ray.
Amplis would be a good guy to talk to about Ray Lane, because I guarantee Amplis has got quite a few stories about Ray, because they worked together for quite a few years. She's probably more removed from that universe, more into her own projects and old horror stuff. So Synth, I guess referring to Gaylen. Yeah, that's true. Oddity. Bonnie Bailey saying I liked Oddity. It was interesting. Men is also good and amusing. I did not like Men. That one, I liked the last 15 minutes of Men, but up to that, it was very tedious. The last 15 minutes was Cronenberg-esque. Have you guys seen Men?
No. I haven't seen Men. No, that's one of those ones that's always been. I've always almost pulled the trigger on a couple times, but I haven't watched it yet.
I'm picky when it comes to horror.
I am too, because I get so disappointed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even some of the newer ones that we've been talking about, like Oddity and some of these other ones, it's like they're just okay. Like there's nothing that's really standing out. You know what I mean? And it kind of turns me off to the whole thing.
Yeah, very rarely am I like blown away by anything anymore.
Right.
Since said, let me know when you guys come to California. It would be fun. Many locations I still haven't seen: the Fog, Point Reyes, and in what is that?
Inverness.
Inverness. Very nice. Brett saying thanks for the tip on Halloween 3 bricks. I just ordered one. There you go.
How much are they?
So the bricks by themselves are $5, but if you do it with the engraving, I think it's like 60 or something like that. I just got one of the plain bricks. I got it on I'm gonna get Tom Atkins to sign it next month.
I think you had a good idea. We're just gonna do a stream about just our collection of rubble and junk that we've collected from over the years.
You gotta be careful with some of
it. I bet the shipping's about $20 on that, right?
No, I think I paid. Well, you know what? I think you're right. I think I paid like somewhere between $10 and $15. It costs more to ship it than it did for the actual brick. Yeah. But I mean, I don't fucking care.
Go to? What is the creamery? Hold on, let me write that down.
Yeah,
what is it?
Lolita Creamery.
Lolita.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's a new name, Oliver656. What's up, man? Good to see you, homie. Has been enjoying the channel, watching all the Dawn of the Dead commentary videos. Keep it up. I appreciate it, man. I think I noticed you just recently subscribed, so I appreciate that. And for any of you guys watching this live or after the fact, make sure you hit that thumbs up, give the video a like, hit the subscribe button. Inching my way closer to 2,000 one of these days. Hit that subscribe button, the notifications bell. You'll never miss one of these live streams or any of the videos that I post. And if you're inclined to do so, check out shop.alpharomero.store for all kinds of designs and shit. I got a Halloween design that I'm going to try to get up just in time for Halloween that I think is, I don't know, kind of weird but cool to me. And I think it'll be cool for Romero fans. We'll just say that. I don't know if it'll sell too many, but I think that I think it's kind of, I don't know, it's a goofy Halloween themed shirt, we'll say. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. Checking out everything I got going on.
I still need to pick up one of your Always Vanilla shirts. I'm still planning on doing that.
Yep, those are up. I got Always Vanilla shirt. I got a Jack's Wife for John. I got a Jack's Wife shirt available on there now. Quite a few things. I'm trying to think of some different designs. I like to just try to think outside the box on some of this shit, but I don't want to just throw something up there and be like, here you go.
Yeah.
There's the link for Gaylen Ross's movie, grfilmsinc.com. And I think she said there's a whole list there where she kind of lists where you can watch all of her movies and where you can find them on streaming sites and shit like that. See, Larry, think of this. A Reanimator has Crampton and Combs. Add Foray to that reunion, and then you have a From Beyond reunion.
Oh, yeah.
So, hint, hint, maybe.
There you go.
That'd be pretty damn cool. Because I'm pretty sure Larry's already let the cat out of the bag with Reanimator that they're going to have a Reanimator reunion next year in Crampton and Combs, and then we're going to be there at Living Dead Weekend. So
that'd be cool.
That will be. Rick says very hypocritical. Graphic violence is like acceptable, but a little TNA, Perdition's Flames. Yeah, I don't know. It's different. It feels like it's a generational thing because there are times
have changed. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's like the 80s. What was acceptable in the 80s was like reversed in the 90s, where it was like you could show all the TNA you wanted in the 90s, but that's when they started to cut the gore out of it. Like, so it was just like, and then it kind of went the other way. We could put all the gore back in, but now, less nudity. We're a strange species.
Yes, we are.
Of like, what we find acceptable, when and where, and I don't know. John says, I actually just watched Ganja and Hess today. It was weird, kind of like Martin, but on acid.
Wow,
that sounds cool to me. Yeah,
that's a sell right there.
So yeah. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. I was kind of inspired visiting the gravesite. And there's the other one that you mentioned, Will, while we were out there, that I had no idea he was even in. I guess it was probably his last performance because it came out in like '89. What was it called? Like something Fright or
yeah, something. I remember asking Larry about it because I found the poster at Flealand and I was like, "Hey, Larry, you ever heard of this?" And he was like, "No."
But it's good. It's got Duane Jones credited as a starring role. So yeah, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, Fright Fest or some shit. Like I can't remember.
I don't remember. Since Columbus was an educated guy with good maps, so the journey was only scary to the superstitious. Still a hard journey. Okay, I stand corrected. Fuck Christopher Columbus. All right, wasn't that bad? Wasn't that brave? John said I talked to Bob Rutkowski about Jack's Wife. He's the one that cut it from 130 to 89 minutes. I'm not sure where the 104 came from, but when it went to 89, it was still Jack's Wife. Okay, so what?
I'm trying to. What's IIRC?
I feel like I know this, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I have no idea what it is. I see it all the time, but I have no fucking clue what that means.
I feel like I've probably asked that before on the channel, but
nobody wants to look stupid, but none of us know what the fuck that means. So you just type it out.
Come on, guys. All your hip lingo. Rick says, I like Barbara Crampton scene in From Beyond. She tries to seduce Foray and she finds the dominatrix leather closet and she gets all dressed up. Okay, well, we know what you're looking for in movies, Rick. Vine saying it's really hard to find horror that really gets to me. I'm really jaded. It Follows came close. Yeah, that's a good one. I liked It Follows quite a bit.
That was creepy. Yeah, that was pretty creepy.
I really like the score in that. That's a... Okay. Thanks, Synth. If I recall correctly.
There we go.
So yeah, Video Nasties had plenty of nudity, but they were offended by the gore. Even the rat scene in The Abyss is edited out in the UK. It's a real O2 fluid, and the rat was safe. Yeah, it's funny what's acceptable because it's different country to country, different regions. Like what's acceptable in Italy is not acceptable here, and vice versa. Or Japan, especially, like Japan blows me away because Japan they'll show you any damn thing in the world, but their pornos are like blurred, like you can't see. It's just like this makes
Everything's
no
pixelated.
yeah, this makes no sense. But yeah, I always found that interesting, but just me. But any last thoughts, guys, before I let you guys get out of here?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of pick y'all's brains about it. How did you feel going to visit Duane's grave at Westview?
Well, what it did mostly for me was inspire me to kind of want to go back and watch more of his, because I've only ever seen Night of the Living Dead. I've never watched Ganja and Hess, or I know he had a role in Beat Street in like the 80s. Just trying to track more of his stuff down and watching him act more. That's what it did for me. Like just being out there kind of made me want to go find his other stuff, outside of Night of the Living Dead, find out more about the guy. Cause I know when I posted on YouTube, I posted the photo of me, at the gravesite and all that. And there was a comment, I can't remember the guy's name, but there was a commenter on there telling me about, he used to teach overseas, and he's learned multiple languages and all this stuff I really didn't know about Duane. So it makes me want to dig in a little more, to his career and his life and find out more about him.
That's kind of what I've been, kind of tickling around a little bit there too, like finding out about his mom. I know his mom was born in the Atlanta area. His dad was born in Alabama. Somehow they wound up in Pittsburgh. I know Duane was born in New York, but I'm assuming they moved to Pittsburgh for work. I don't know. But like I said, I started kind of digging through trying to find some stuff in Ancestry, but I've got to pay the monthly fee to go any further. So, but
I've already established that.
Yeah.
But I was telling Will, I think that would be something that you'd be great at, is like tracking down graves, because because after you watch fucking Lightning Over Braddock, I think a few days later you sent me, he's like, hey, I found Sal's dad's grave from Lightning Over Braddock. I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. And you're like, I'm trying to find Sal's now. I'm like, okay, cool. So I think that would be like a good niche for you to like track down all these because people do location, tracking down locations and stuff all the time. I think that would be an interesting niche that I think is really cool. I think a lot of people would be interested in that type of stuff. And of course, we already established that you and your wife are creepy goth parents.
Taphophiles, the creepy goth parents. Absolutely.
I still laugh about that. I'm just thinking, it's like, oh, it's my creepy fucking goth parents. I can go hang out in cemeteries.
It's funny, we actually have a joint shared Instagram account where that's all we do is post pictures of the cemeteries we've been to. So
that's awesome. What is it called?
It's called Beyond the Beautiful Death. Like if you go to my Instagram page, there's a link to it on there.
Okay. Beyond the Beautiful Death.
Yeah. There's some stuff from Westview in there. There's a couple of, all up and down Pittsburgh, everywhere we've been to. We usually just stop and take pictures, and my kid's just fucking standing there like, oh my God. So he hates it. He fucking hates it. But
it's kind of like how Drewski's kid was.
Yeah. That was funny. So we went to, in June, Evans City Cemetery. We ran into, he does a YouTube channel. He's a YouTuber, Drewski McGillicuddy. And he was out there shooting some stuff for his thing. And it was him and his wife, and then I guess his stepson. And his wife shooting him, and he's talking about stuff and doing the thing. And the stepson's just sitting off, away from everything, just sitting there, just looking at the ground like, God, when can we leave? Yeah. And I was like, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's hard to get him into that stuff, and it's hard too. Like when we go to the conventions and stuff. Like if his friend wasn't with him this time in Atlanta, he probably wouldn't have wanted to go with us. You know what I mean? When we go to Pittsburgh, he's the same way now. He's just kind of like whatever, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit. I
know, because how old was he the first time you guys were you went to Pittsburgh?
2021. He would have been like 10 or 11. Okay. Because he's turning 13 in a couple of days. So, but he's still, like the hero hallway run thing that we do, where you see him getting bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope he wants to do that again this year.
Missed that this year.
I know. I did too, man. So
eventually he's just gonna slowly just saunter down the hall and just like, God, Dad, this again.
Well, what's going to happen is we're going to have to swap sides because he's about to be taller than me. So he's going to have to be Ken, and I'm going to have to be,
You're gonna have to be Scotty. There
yeah.
you go.
So,
but what was your big takeaway, Will? I think
well, it just made me feel closer, like closer to the actor, closer to the character. It just it's just like visiting family, So like a distant cousin of mine, like.
Yeah, it's weird. You never knew him, but like it's still somebody that played a major role in your life in some way, Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think you should do that, Matt. I think that'd be your thing.
Yeah, well, it's fun. It's fun to do that research and kind of do that investigating. I mean, it's nowhere like we talked about. It's nowhere on the same fucking level of what John's doing, but it's still interesting. Like like I think it had been sort of established that Duane was buried out there, but I didn't know that those were his ashes that were interred there until I reached out and spoke to somebody. So that stuff is fun. You know what I mean? It's fun kind of hunting that shit down, matching stuff up. Like when we go to Pittsburgh next year, I'm gonna go see where Sal's father's buried, just because it was in Lighting. It was in Sweet Sal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that'll be fun to kind of do like a then and now type thing with that. And just to pay respects.
I'll come with you on that one.
Oh yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm sending you to Braddock on your own though, unless Grande's coming with you.
we'll roll up in there, dude. It's gonna be fun.
I'll always go to Braddock. I love Braddock. I don't care.
You guys have waded through the literal shit of Atlanta. You can make it through Braddock. You'll be fun. So
that is true.
Yeah.
All right, let me hit the last few comments here, and I'll let you guys get out of here. Since saying Japan porn is blurred to enhance the eroticism, as they say, they have an issue with pubic hair and insertion. Okay. They're synth with the answers again, guys. The answer man.
He knows everything.
Yeah. I mean, Japan, it's a weird culture. Not a weird culture, but like weird to us because they find... I just always think of like wrestling because I'm a wrestling fan. It's like wrestling to them, they sit quietly and watch. They don't cheer or anything, but like they'll politely applaud when something happens. It's just different culture over there. See, John saying Duane does speak French and ganja. Okay, I believe he graduated at some university in Paris, I think. By the way, Henry C. Jones was a police officer. His sister Marva got a scholarship to Harvard in 1966. Yeah, I remember Marva. I was talking to Matt about this the other day. He was on that. I think the Garf did something to honor Ben Jones or Duane Jones, and his sister joined and accepted and talked about Duane and stuff. I remember that. See, Duane would probably be annoyed by the lame Saska movie and referenced it. I don't think he would give a shit. Like, I don't think he would even watch it or even pay attention to that universe. It would just be like, they can do what they want. Kind of like George was. George's like, let them do what they want. It's fine. Yeah, I agree, Rick. If you haven't seen It Follows, definitely worth a watch. It's an interesting, different concept for sure. See, I've sent it's got a great 80s type dark score by Disaster Piece. Okay, I didn't know who did that score. Disaster Piece.
Knows everything, dude.
He knows it all. Oh, I didn't know Duane was cremated. Thanks for that. Duane also passed away not too far from where I am. I've been to the hospital he died in Mineola. There you go.
I knew something about Duane Jones that fucking John Vulo didn't know. Oh my God.
There you go. Come here to learn, John. Come here to learn.
Yeah, he was cremated and his ashes are interred next to his mother there. I'm going to be a nerd again. So this is the guy that I reached out to. His name's Jeff Clemens, and he wrote a book. You read these, and it's really good.
You got
it's
pictures
called a book. Yeah, it's got pictures. It's got pretty pictures in it. See? So yeah. Anyway, Jeff Clemens, he's a cool guy. He's the guy that I reached out to. They gave me some information about that.
Oh, cool. Jeff Clemens. Now, there are words in that book?
There are. There are big words. There's little words. I don't know if your brain would would be able to comprehend some of these. Let's see. We got 3. I don't know if you can spell that. During.
Wait a minute.
I mean, we could just have story time if you want.
3 is not a word. 3 is a letter.
It was spelled.
3 is the number. Thank you very much.
It was spelled out 3.
Who does that? What snooty bastard does that?
Jeff Clemens does, and he's a cool fucking guy. Leave him alone.
Let's see. I think so. Stugas is back just in time for us to say good night. Says he's working on his 4-year med lab degree at University of Cincinnati online. Okay, awesome.
Oh, he's not far from
Cincinnati. Yeah, Stugas, do you live in the Cincinnati area? I love Cincinnati. It's one of my favorite cities. A lot of good times in Cincinnati. Rick says, I'm making Stranger Things from Netflix at Halloween time show to watch. Yeah, that's a good one for Halloween for sure. I think so, Synth. I think they're made from trees. But you should know. You should know.
Hey, real quick before I forget, what did you guys think about getting kicked out of the ska concert?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a nice bar. That was a cool bar.
That's a cool bar. Yeah. Star Bar's awesome.
A cool little area. They had that, and then we went to Criminal Records. I've checked out that album, by the way. The Paul Bearer. First listen, it was not at all what I was expecting.
Okay.
Like when I put it on, I was like, I don't know about this. This is not, because I set my mindset for one thing, and it was something completely different. I've listened to it probably 3 or 4 times since then. I'm liking it more and more as I listen to it. Like it's starting to come together. At first, it was a little, like I said, not what I was expecting, so it was a little disjointed. Like where it's just like, okay, maybe, all right. But yeah, like I said, I've listened to it probably 3 or 4 times now. I'm liking it a lot more. The other band that you mentioned while we were there, Baroness,
yeah.
I've been listening to them a lot lately after that. So I've been checking them out on Spotify, just kind of listening, trying to get a flavor for them, and I'm digging them quite a bit here lately too. So
that might be more up your alley. Paul Bear, like that, especially this record. I've been listening to them for a long time, but this record took a moment to kind of hook me. But once it did, like after I gave it a couple of listens, plus it, I was listening to it at a specific time, when you're going through something or thinking about something.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, I'm not familiar with the band. So is this record something, does it deviate away from what they usually do, what they usually sound like?
No, it's kind of a return to form.
Okay.
Like it's kind of a mixture of everything. So they're definitely more proggy now. Like there's definitely more, like it's more progressive than it used to be. And it's not like straightforward doom. It's almost like pretty doom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I know they get a lot of like,
threw me off. Like, because I remember you saying that it was like doomy, and I was like, okay. Yeah. So when I put it on and started listening to it, I was like, oh, this is a way more melodic, and it's different. But I'm coming around to it. I'm really liking it. So
if you enjoy it, check out. There's one that they put out a couple years ago called Heartless. That's my favorite record they've ever done. Yeah, it's called Heartless. So, but yeah, this one it's strange. It's got some points in it that are like there's a fucking saxophone solo in the middle of one of the tracks. It's kind of odd. So, but yeah, it's a good record. So,
but yeah, I'll definitely check out some more of their stuff.
Yeah.
But like I said, like most of my all-time favorite albums took me a few listens first time. Like, because when I was younger, like growing up, like Silverchair was one of my favorite bands. Like I fucking love Silverchair. And their first 3 albums were always a little different. But then when Diorama came out, like 2002, completely fucking different. Like it was way out in left field. And the first time I listened to it, I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Then over the years, it's like, that's one of my all-time favorite albums now.
Yeah.
Like it's just perfect from start to finish.
Takes a minute to marinate, but once it does, it's really good.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you guys got to hang out too. I hope you guys liked Atlanta.
Yeah. It was a little chaotic, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Definitely
it was chaotic. Yeah. It was
definitely
chaotic.
spent a lot of money on parking and shit like that. Yeah. It's what to expect when you stay at a hotel downtown, but
yeah, absolutely.
Ubers and yeah.
Coffee shop.
Yeah, a lot of coffee.
Walked all the way down the damn road to the coffee shop and had a Starbucks in the hotel.
Yeah.
We went to the Starbucks in the hotel down the street, and then came back and realized that there was a Starbucks in the hotel we were staying at.
Oh, but at least you got to explore a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And we got to eat breakfast next to Booger. So
We did.
Go.
Booger and fucking
David Carradine.
Lewis.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a great time. It was awesome. Like I said, apologies about Friday, but I'm glad we got to hang out on Saturday, and I'm glad you got to show us some cooler spots of Atlanta away from, the shit and the crack pipe. So
Yeah. No, you don't need to apologize about Friday. It is what it is. I wish I wasn't such a fucking grandpa. Like if I hadn't gotten up at 4:00 that morning and left the house as early as I did, I had to go home and get the dogs and all that shit. So
I understand, and I just felt bad that I felt like you were just like waiting, and we were just like, no.
Hey, you know the best thing about it is he didn't tell me that until we got to Atlanta. He was like, "Oh yeah, Matt had been waiting on us." I was like,
"Well, what the fuck would you have done? I didn't want you to feel bad on the drive there. I was just like, let's just get there as soon as we can." And
don't sweat it. I had a great time hanging out with you guys on Saturday. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you kind of hanging out in my old neighborhood with me. And
yeah, man, thanks for showing us around.
Yeah,
it was definitely good times.
Chocolate milkshake thing that I had was fire.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I wanted to ask you guys about too. Like, I know like that waitress was like, or that bartender, she was like desperately trying to pour that fucking beer for you. You remember that?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just let the man, like to the point where she was like insisting on pouring this beer for you, and you were like, I got it. I was talking to my wife about that today. Like, just let the dude pour his fucking beer. Jesus.
Yeah, sometimes you run across those bartenders that are like, this has to be poured this certain specific way, and I'm just like, I've poured this beer probably more times in my lifetime than you have, honey. Like, let me, like, I know what I'm doing here. Like, this is my beer. Like, I don't really drink a whole lot of beer, but I like Guinness, and this is what I do.
Yeah.
But that probably a total of 6 hours the entire time that we were there.
Yeah,
we didn't sleep much. Even like when we'd stay up late and then be like, oh, I'm fucking exhausted, but then we'd wake up, 3 or 4 hours later and just be like, all right, well, it's time to get up, time to go do things.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree. I got to point this out. Silverchair album launch was amazing for such a young age. Yeah, wrote their first platinum album at age 13. It's crazy. Okay, Stuka's saying he's in South Carolina, same country. Oh, yeah, because I remember Stuka's talking about the hurricane. He was dealing with the effects of the hurricane a couple weeks ago. But, guys, I appreciate you hopping on here and talking about good times that we're had in Atlanta. Anything you guys want to plug or say or any departing words before we hop off here?
No, I just appreciate you guys hanging out. Like I said, that was a lot of fun. It was good to see you. It was good to kind of get to know you guys, kind of figure out who you are as people, not just faces on the screen. So, especially Will, Will, this was my first time meeting you in person. So,
Mike said that you thought I was a cool motherfucker. So,
dude, you're a fucking trip, man. Like, following you around, I was like, man, this is who I want to hang out with this guy. And like when we went to Criminal Records, I think I told him, I was like, he's like a wind-up toy. Like, you just wind him up and let him go. You were fucking like a pinball machine, bouncing around, talking to everybody. I was like, look at this guy's energy. It's so awesome. So
yeah, Will, you're a fucking trip, brother.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we love you.
What were we doing? We were walking outside somewhere, and I was talking about how everything started opened up really quickly after COVID, and I was like, "Whoa, slow down!" And you were like, "Yeah," you were like, "Slow down, motherfucker," or something like that. And I just busted out laughing. This shit was so funny; it just tickled me.
Well, in all fairness, we stoned off his ass at that point too, so it was fine.
So, but no, I just had a blast hanging out with you guys, and I really appreciate it. So,
thank you, Bunny. Always good to have you in here. Thanks, Rick. Head on north, you north-going llama, you. Synth, always a pleasure, my man. Thank you for bringing all the info and dropping the science on us as usual. Hell yeah, bringing that scared energy for sure.
Yep.
Will, any final words? We'll get out of here.
I mean, like I said, it was great hanging out as always, with Mike, and especially meeting you, Matt, for the first time. I mean, I think I saw you on Living Dead Weekend, but I don't
think we talked. I feel like we said hi, but that was about it. But
I don't even think we said hi. I remember seeing you in passing. I know we've been friends on Facebook, but I don't think we've ever actually like stopped and had a conversation before. So that was cool.
yeah, I agree.
Well, one big takeaway that I really like took away was when we went into that bar where the ska bands were playing. When we walked in, they asked if we were playing that night. So I was
Yeah,
like,
they thought we were the band.
we look like we're in a fucking band, guys. We're cool. Like, all right. Made me feel young again.
And I hope I didn't make you guys uncomfortable. I was trying to sneak us into that shit, but
No.
that bouncer was like, nope.
For three, though.
No, that bouncer took his job very, very seriously. We were not getting past him. He was just like eyeing us the whole fucking time. So
yeah. Well, I thought I had a moment too. Like he allowed us in so we could go look at the Elvis shrine. And then as soon as he looked away, I was like, all right, come on, let's go. And we were kind of like hiding in the corner. And not even a minute later, he's like, nah, get the fuck out, guys.
What fucked up was like I didn't even see him walk over. I just looked and he was just standing there. Like he was just standing there behind. He's like, you guys gotta go. I'm like, fuck. All right.
Oh well.
But appreciate it, guys. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Like I said, like the video, give the thumbs up, subscribe, check out shop.alpharomero.store, all that fun shit. And I just blow right past them. Don't even just all that fun shit. But Will, Matt, thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. Hope to see you guys again soon. And as always, stay scared.